Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Oh, what's happening, baby?
How you
Good
doing,
to
Joe?
see you, brother.
How you doing?
And we're drinking Bud Light, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
We're fucked.
There's nothing wrong with it. People are so... Cheers, sir.
Cheers, brother.
People are so silly. We were just talking about how silly it is. One person made a really stupid decision, and now everybody's decided that Bud Light is the enemy. But that's like this thing that people do in America, where they just decide, now I hate these people. These people are the enemy, and you know.
And it's over.
Yeah, and it's over.
The reason I've drinking Bud Light and Budweiser like my entire adult life, and then on Twitter I defended my sister's spouse, and people were pissed, and I was like, I didn't mean to do this. It was crazy. And Travis Tritt came after me, and I was like, he didn't come after me. Travis Tritt is so respectable, and he's like a good guy. And I met him at the Two Step Inn where you were, and it was cool to get to talk to him about it and see like two different views, and it was cool sitting in the room with him and hearing it.
Well, you know, just the culture war in this country is so goofy. It's so overblown, and a lot of it is people just not talking to each other. It's people talking through social media and talking through narratives, and it's just...
It freaks me out.
Yeah?
It freaks me out. And being so public, you too, as well, it's so scary. I feel like it keeps people from being who they actually are.
Oh, yeah.
Which is terrifying, because every time I get anywhere, I'm like, shit, man, I can't say or do this. And then when you do, it's crazy. It's psychotic.
There's a lot of self-censoring, but
I
I think it's important to speak your mind.
I think it's getting better.
Yeah, it's just more people have to do it, and then more people... You know, people are worried about the repercussions, but you have to understand that when you're a person like yourself or a person like me, you're communicating to millions of people, and so you're going to have a certain percentage of them that are upset at everything you say. Whether you say you like to eat meat, or whether you say you think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a good guy, or whether you think that... You know, whatever the fuck you think.
And you only have one life, man.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not sure about that. You ever have a feeling you've been here before?
No, I saw your podcast like 2 years ago about the infinity thing.
Yeah.
And I kept telling people about it, like in Oklahoma and stuff. I'm like, what the?
Isn't it weird that freaks people out? Like, it freaks people out. Like, I love life. I love my family. I love my friends. I love my job. I love existing. I enjoy it very much. But if I had to do this over and over again forever, for infinity, it's a weird feeling. It freaks people out.
Have you seen that Black Mirror episode?
No.
Not to be that guy.
No, I've seen a bunch of them. But
there's a Black Mirror episode where they're in a cabin, and this guy's in prison for infinity, and he's talking to this guy over and over and over again.
Wow.
And there's the new one. The new season came out, and the same thing. They're in space, and they're like coming down. I'm not going to ruin it.
No worries.
It's crazy.
It's an amazing show.
It freaks you out.
And
it's my favorite show.
It's a
good.
great
It's
show.
good.
My wife won't watch it with me.
Really?
She thinks it's scary. She
Really?
gets freaked out by it. Yeah, she doesn't like things that could be real.
I get that. A lot of people, like, when I bring it up, they're like, I don't know. And I'm like...
Did you ever see Heavy Metal? That's the one where the robots are chasing this lady.
Oh, yeah, the dogs.
The dog
I didn't like
robots.
that. I stopped watching it. That one freaked me out too much. I was like, no way.
That's so close
I
to
can't do
real.
it. Well, the one about the murdering, too. There's a one where this chick, like, murders.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And she gets in this, like, white lie of trying to hide from it.
Yeah.
Like, she's, like, hiding it from her kids and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. Wow.
It's so close to real. It's so close to real. There was a World Economic Forum video that they just put out about people going to work and wearing earbuds. Have you seen it, Jamie? Going to work and wearing earbuds that monitor your brain waves. And the brain waves are going to tell whether or not you're being productive or distracted. And in this video, this woman is kind of fantasizing about a guy she works with and then catches herself doing it. And then some guy gets busted for like...
Is this a show? What is this?
It's just a video explaining how in the future you're going... See if you can find it.
I mean, I'm seeing the people talking about it.
Dude, you saying this reminds me of yesterday. I was in Walmart and I was like walking around and I was like looking for something to buy. And one of the girls I asked the question to, she had an earbud in or an AirPod in. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why would you do that? You're like walking around work and people are asking you for help and stuff. And she's just walking around like listening to, she's like talking to people with.
And listening to this music.
Yeah.
Kids do that today. My kids do that. They're like,
Yeah,
I have one ear open.
I was kind of, I didn't mean to be an ass, but I was talking to the guy at the
past few hours.
Here it is. Yeah,
Is
that's
that
it.
it?
Check
Is
this
that it?
out.
Okay.
Yeah, check
Sorry.
this video out. This is bonkers,
Start it
dude.
over.
This is
Move
really...
your cursor to the left and scroll through your brain data over the past few hours. You can
Oh, it's like
feel
one of
your
those
stress levels rising
training videos.
as the deadline to finish your memo approached.
Yeah, and she's wearing these
causing a
earbuds.
peak in your beta brainwave activity right before an alert popped up, telling you to take a brain break. But what's that unusual change in your brain activity?
This
when
is
you're
not the
asleep?
one I saw.
Okay.
There's
I was gonna
another
say-
one that I saw that's
That's scarier than a Black Mirror episode.
But
man.
the other one's more scary because it talks about like self-censoring at work and monitoring your thoughts at work.
I could see it.
God, I sent it to somebody.
I
Who
could
the
see it.
Fuck did I
Well,
send it
here's,
to?
I mean, this video on TikTok seems like I just saw the brainwave thing you just said. Oh, come on. Like that? That's the same video.
Yep, this is it. This is it. This is
Oh,
it.
it's just a little later in
This is
there.
it. Yeah. Okay. So I had only seen part of it. That's it. Keep it rolling.
Worse feelings telling you when she checks your brain
Ah,
activity.
Oh, you got
and
two
shift
going.
your attention
Oh my God, this is a nightmare.
This is
Your
Black
brain
Mirror.
decides
This is what I hear at night.
When the email she sends you later that day congratulates you.
Oh, this
on
is
your
fine.
brain
Let this
metrics
play
from
out.
the past quarter,
No, it's
which have
before
earned you
this.
another performance.
It's
So you can
before
worry
this
that your
where
boss
she's fantasizing about this guy that yeah, that's it. That's the guy. So go
How do you
ahead.
smoke pot and watch stuff like
I
that?
love it.
policy
That's
against
crazy.
intra-office romance.
Back up.
But you can't help fantasizing. Brain starts to. Did you take a quick look at my brain data? Anything to worry about?
The doctor.
Your mind starts to wander to the new colleague on your team.
No
who
way.
You know you shouldn't
Come
be
on.
worrying about, given the policy against intra-office romance. But you can't help fantasizing just a little. But then you start to worry that your boss will notice your amorous feelings when she checks your brain activity.
What?
Shift your attention back to the present.
Imagine all the shitty things you've thought of at work.
I know.
And your boss knowing.
Later that day,
Congratulations on your
congratulate
brain
you on
metrics.
Your brain metrics from the past quarter, which have earned you another performance bonus.
So you get
You at
bonuses.
home jamming to the music, with your work
For
with your
thinking
brain sensing
a certain
earbuds
way.
still in. When you arrive at work, the
Where is
Keep it
this
going.
from?
cloud has fallen over the office, along with emails, text messages, and GPS location data. The government has subpoenaed employees' brainwave data from the past year. They have compelling evidence that one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud. Now, they're looking for his co-conspirators. You discover they are looking for synchronized brain activity between your coworker and the people he has been working with. While you know you're innocent of any crime, you've been secretly working with him on a new startup venture. Shaking, you remove your earbuds.
You know what's crazy about that? You know what's crazy about that? I feel like the world right now with all of our phones is the same way. Because your
very
phone knows
close.
everything about you.
Yeah.
And people can do that. But it's not the same. But it's like,
It's getting there.
it feels like
I mean,
it.
the idea of being able to collect data on everywhere you walk. I remember when I was, I guess it was like, I want to say it was like 99, 2000 was the first GPS thing that I had. And you would load it, I think with CDs or DVRs.
I remember when Garmin's
DVDs.
came out and my grandpa was going crazy.
Yeah.
He would put it on the dash of his truck and he's like, we're going to Texas and we know where we're going.
Yeah, you had a map with you all the time. But the one that I had in the early days, I only had California because that's all the data could fit. And the California data was on like a CD-ROM or a DVD. I can't remember which one it was, but you had to load it, I remember. And it was kind of clunky, but I was like, this is wild. And this is like very early on with that kind of electronics.
Thinking about it now, like what's freaked me out the most in the last like year of my life has been friends of mine and people that I've met and things. I got a flip phone like 6 months ago. I was like, man, I called you on it. When I
Yeah.
first started talking to you, I was on my flip phone. Because I was talking to a friend of mine and it was like, they were like, well, how are you going to track, how are you going to know where your friends are at? Like with the tracking on iPhones and stuff like that, you can like see your friends and things. I'm like, what do
Yeah.
you mean?
Right.
I don't think we're supposed to know where we're all at. And it's scary as shit. Why do I want you to know that I'm at my house or if I'm even your best friends in the entire world? Our parents never did that.
It's weird.
You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's weird. And then some people are going to want to know where you are all the time. Why won't you let me know where you are, Zach?
Yeah. It's 6 years. It's like
Zach,
7 years ago. I
where are
deleted
you, Zach?
Snapchat because I saw the map with all the fucking heads on it.
Yeah.
And kids are growing up like this, bro. It's crazy.
My kids use that constantly.
Yeah.
They're always tracking their friends.
And I'm 27. I'm not allowed to say that yet. I don't.
You're still a kid.
I don't know what age that is where you can start saying the kids. You know, which is cringy to say. But it's
You can
funny.
say it at 27.
Yeah.
After 25, you can kind of say it occasionally.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. And
After 25, I was like, holy fuck, man, life is not.
then once you're 30, you're like, oh my God, I'm a grown up.
I was told at 30 you feel more. I was told at 30 you feel like more settled.
Depends on who you are. Sometimes people aren't happy at 30 and then they start panicking more because they haven't got anything done.
I don't know about your 20s, know what you did in your 20s, but my 20s have been like this crazy roller coaster that have just like, it hasn't stopped. And I'm like, holy shit, this is what they meant by the 20s, or psychotic.
I mean, you're just over being 10.
Yeah, literally.
You were 10, 17 years ago.
And you feel like you know everything, man, when you're 22 and 23. It's so scary.
Of course.
The decisions and shit you make, it's crazy.
You got into making music. Well, I say you were successful making music while you were still in the military, right?
Yes.
How old were you?
22 when I started.
Wow.
I started putting videos on Twitter, and it was psychotic. It was crazy because I did it for like, I get all these messages all the time from people who are like, hey man, I was around when you released Heading South. I've been here from the beginning. And I'm like,
wow.
Really? The very beginning, you know? And I started putting videos on Twitter back in like 2017. And then I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. Because I was in the Navy. I had a lot of shit going on. I didn't believe in therapy because that's crazy in the Navy, you know? And I started just making music, and I started posting them on Twitter, and I'd get like 5 or 6 likes, and I didn't care. It was nice. It was nice to go home. It was nice to go home and feel the way I did and write and put music on Twitter. I don't know. It was kind of my validation in the world of I can write a song at least.
Right.
And then, man, I was training in Florida, and one day I put like 4 or 5 videos up, and they just went like crazy viral, and I was like, cool, neat. And then my life just kept going up and up and up, and I was like,
at that time, did you have any? What were your aspirations about recording?
No, I didn't even know what it was. That's why all my beginning
Really?
records are shitty.
You never thought
they're not shitty, but see, when I recorded this, I was about to like go inside. I was like, whatever, I'll just throw this on the internet, and it was like the number
an iPhone.
And it was like the #1 voted Reddit video in the entire like world. I think, I don't know. But I was like getting calls from people. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Everyone at work's like, you're going viral. I was like, what? And we're like literally like learning how to load missiles and shit. I'm like, cool, sick, man. And it's been crazy. And I never in my life envisioned being a musician ever.
Really?
Period. No. I thought I was gonna. My old man was in the Navy for 25 years. He was a Master Chief. My mom was in the Navy. My grandpa was in the Navy. Both. Yeah, just that like. Whatever. And I was like, I'm going to be in the Navy till the day I die, probably. Until I retire, at least. And that was it. That was going to be my life. And I was thinking about it yesterday, how crazy my reality is now. Like coming back to Oklahoma and being around people, and people like coming to get me in diners and being like, take a picture with me. I'm like, what is going on, man? And there's like 700 people hating me online. I'm like, bro, I didn't fucking mean to do this. I'm sorry. It's crazy.
Wow.
I just kept going. Kept writing.
So when you made your music, you just made it for fun? You make it for yourself? Like, did you plan on?
No, I just wanted to be a writer. I think writing is like the most beautiful thing in the world, because I used to read like Steinbeck books and stuff when I was a kid, and I just thought it was so crazy that someone could take words and put them on a page, and it would make you feel something. Not to be deep either. I mean that. Like you can be reading a book and feel something like visceral and real from a page on a book. It's just ink. And you're looking at it, and I was like, that's crazy. So I started writing poems and stuff when I was a kid. And those turned into songs because writing poems is lame, right? Not really. Now that I'm 27, I know that it's not. But when I was a kid, I thought that. And I was like, what way can you write poems and it's not weird? And that's why I started playing guitar.
Yeah, poems are one of those ones people are embarrassed to say they
Exactly, yeah. And I don't get that nowadays, but I do if you're 16 or 17. Why?
Because the people that aren't embarrassed when they talk about poetry are annoying.
Yeah, they are.
They're annoying.
Oh, man, you should be
That's the problem.
People talking to me about writing, I'm like, man, you suck, dude. Please don't. I don't want to read. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, man.
Some people just want to unload on you.
Because it's almost embarrassing to like write vulnerable stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not at all. At the same time, it's like you have one life, you know?
Well, it connects with people so much. The vulnerable stuff, like, it connects with people. It resonates with people so much.
And people act like you should be ashamed of it.
Well, it's just... people are ashamed of emotions for some strange reason.
It's strange. It's really weird to talk to people about it.
It's very stupid. It's very stupid.
At the same time, so many people are drawn to them. Like, I have so many happy songs, and people always love my like darker ones, and I'm like, this isn't my fault. You guys all lean towards this. It's not.
I think what it stems from is people criticizing people who lose control of their emotions, like people who are too emotional. So like it could be any little thing that goes wrong in their life and they break down, start crying and think the world is out to get them. Like that is,
I can see that.
That's annoying to people.
I agree.
And in harder times, that is really looked down on, because those are the people that don't carry their own weight. Those are the people that get in the way. Those are the people that panic and battle. Those are the people that can't control their emotions. So when we think about someone who's exploring their emotions or expressing their emotions, we like kind of automatically think about the most annoying aspect of expressing your emotions.
Of the people in your childhood who were just crying all the time and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well, there's some people that just like anything that goes wrong in their life, they think the
They act like
universe
it's the
is
end of
out
the
to
world.
get them.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it. Like, have you ever seen Africa? You ever seen like people that are living in third world countries? You ever seen people that are walking from Guatemala to try to get through to Mexico to get to America?
Wake up every morning so happy to breathe here
Yeah.
in America,
Yeah.
man. I wake
Yeah.
up every morning, I'm like, holy shit, this could be so
Fuck
much
yeah.
worse.
Yeah, that's like when this whole border crisis thing is going on. And I'm like, listen, if I was living in Honduras and I had no way of making out, and I knew that I could walk all the way to America, my cousin was going to do it, my brother was going to do it, and it's going to take us 2 weeks to walk to America. I'm like, let's fucking go, man. Otherwise, we're stuck.
And you have to think about that being a story in itself.
Yeah.
Like for you as that person who's
Right.
like, I'm going to go make this trek and make this journey in my life to make it better. That's like an odyssey, right? Like
Well, people do what they have to do in order to make their life better. And when there's nothing you have to do because your life's pretty fucking easy, then people find all sorts of stupid shit to complain about. Because there's like a level of dissatisfaction that most people just contain all day long. And a lot of it is like they have a lot of dissatisfaction about their own self.
Yeah.
And they don't address that. So instead, they find all this dissatisfaction in the world. But that, whatever that percentage is, whether their life is unbelievably brutal or whether their life is really easy, they still want to spend, 30% fucking complaining about shit.
Yeah.
So they find dumb shit to complain about that means nothing.
Have you? This is weird you're bringing this up because I posted on my Instagram. I hate to bring it up, but I posted on my Instagram last week this thing called the Catastrophe of Success. Have you ever read that?
No.
By Tennessee Williams.
Ah.
There's this paragraph at the end. He talks about how success just made him like. You got to. Sorry,
Yeah,
that's
pull
not
it
my,
up.
I'm
Pull
so
it.
sorry.
Jane, no, don't apologize.
Okay.
No, I want to.
You got to read it. You got to read
read
this.
it.
Yeah. Okay. You know then that public somebody you are when you have a name. Yeah, you can read it, but.
Okay, you know then that the public somebody you are when you have a name is a fiction created with mirrors, and that only somebody worth being is the solitary and unseen you that existed from your first breath, and which is the sum of your actions, and so is constantly in a state of becoming under your own violation. And knowing these things, you can even survive the catastrophe of
wrong
success.
paragraph. I had one job. It's the one above it. But it talks about what you were just saying, that people get so content in their lives that they make, like the only thing worth it in this life is conflict.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that conflict in those stories and those things that make you suffer
Yeah.
to be happy and content, which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah, it says, this is an oversimplification. One does not escape that easily from the seduction of an effete way of life. Is that how to say that?
I don't know.
Effete? How do you say that, Jeremy?
You got it.
Effete?
Killed it.
With one of them? I
Killed
got
it.
it with
First
one of
one
them. The
sounded
first
right.
one?
Yeah.
Killed it.
That's one of those things I've only read. I've never said out loud.
I've never seen that word till I saw this. I was like, no way, man.
You cannot arbitrarily say to yourself, I will not continue my life as it was before this thing. Success happened to me. But once you fully apprehend the vacuity of a life without struggle, you are equipped with the basic means of salvation. Once you know this is true, that the heart of man, his body and brain are forged in a white-hot furnace for the purpose of conflict, the struggle of creation, and that with the conflict removed, the man is a sword cutting daisies.
Sick.
That's amazing.
That's sick.
That not privation but luxury is the wolf at the door, and that the fangs of this wolf are all the little vanities and conceits and laxities that success is heir to. Why? Then with this knowledge, you are at least in a position of knowing where danger lies.
And people who are content, that's what it means.
Yeah.
You won't be happy without the conflict of...
You need struggle, and that's very unfortunate.
That's what I've dealt with a lot lately in
Yeah.
my life and like the touring life and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
being successful in anything. It's just hard, I think. Which that's so. I'm not trying to.
No, it is.
But I'm not trying to bullshit anyone. And yeah, of course.
It's not like you're coal mining.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm not being like
in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And you're 12.
Yeah.
It's fucking complicated.
It's complicated is better to say than hard.
It's also super bizarre because there's not a lot of people you could talk to about it.
Of course. Yeah. There's no one who relates.
It's hard. I tried to talk to a bunch of different people about it, like early on, and everybody has a different take on it. And it's interesting to see like some people, as time has gone on, they've dealt with it less and less well.
Which is crazy to think about. You would think as you went along the route, you would
get better at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of things in that. It's been insane. And that really, every time I feel, however, I'm like stressed out, I'll just read that. I'm like, cool. Everything will be all right.
For me, that's why exercise is like a key component of my mental health regimen. I've learned more mental health than anything. Personally,
because when I was in the Navy, I was running marathons like on the weekends because I loved it so much. Running, I've always ran like a lot, and I've lost that along the way of being a musician, and I've noticed a decline in like how I feel like energy-wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's freaked me out. So every morning when I wake up to play a show, I'll always go on a run now, and it helps a lot.
I always try to tell other comics that, like, because a lot of comics do not like to take care of themselves. It's like part of the fun of being a comedian. You're just lazy and crazy, and you're doing drugs.
Has a musician
late.
too, yeah.
Yeah, it's a part of the thing. But I always tell them, your body is literally the race car that you're maneuvering around life in. Yeah. And if you can give that race car more horsepower, if you make it more robust, it works better. It works better with everything. It thinks better. It handles emotions better. It sleeps better. It eats better. You'll be smarter.
And people don't want to believe that because it's easier to not. But it's also more fun.
People are fucking lazy.
It's also fun though. To not care.
To go crazy? Yeah.
But then you realize it makes it so much worse. That's what happened to me last year. Because I mean, I wasn't like being crazy. I wasn't like shooting up or anything. But we were just drinking so much, and we weren't like working out, and like it was just like. I woke up one morning. I was like in New York City, and I'm like, man, I feel just bad. I shouldn't feel like this at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything. And that's when I started like addressing. I called my dad. I'm like, man, I got to do something.
That's the real problem with booze. That's the real problem with booze.
I've noticed,
is so much worse for you than weed or mushrooms or anything else. Booze is the worst because it removes all of your am I being an asshole filter. So you're fucking
yeah.
So people get loud and confident and uninhibited, and then you feel terrible the next day.
Exactly, it's the worst drug.
But it's also really fun.
Like, it's the most fun thing you can do. It's
pretty fun.
People give me shit all the time because my sister sobered up a long time ago, and we always talk about it with each other in a way of like balancing our lives and things like that, and drinking and all that. And every time I talk to her, she's like, "Well, why don't you just quit drinking if you feel bad all the time?" And I'm like, "Because I'm a musician. It's a great time to be at like that night at the mothership and stuff. Like you go down and you start drinking with your friends and things. It's when it gets out of hand that it's not okay."
Yeah. It's a balancing act, for sure.
Did you see Huberman's podcast?
On alcohol?
On alcohol?
No, I didn't. Sure, it's terrible.
I watched that, man. I was like, I'm never get away. Yeah, it's scary. He was talking about it, and I was like, I probably was drinking a beer because it was like 8 p.m., and I'm like, oh, shit. He was like, no, he did not, don't quote me on this. He was like, it kills you.
Oh,
every time you
does.
drink. And I was like, man,
it's poison. Yeah.
Because I'd stopped drinking. I thought I was being smart. And like last year we were drinking a lot of whiskey, and I was like, I'm gonna stop drinking whiskey. I'll stick with the light beers and just the beer. I started drinking beer and I felt worse, and I was like, shit.
Well, you're getting a lot of carbohydrates.
Exactly, and I didn't realize that. I woke up every morning like full, and I'm like, why? I just can't eat breakfast, and it was just crazy.
So many calories.
Yeah,
beer is a lot. If you're drinking 12 beers, shit, that's a shitload of calories.
And I mean, our days are so long. Like being a musician, people don't realize how much fucking time you're just waiting around.
Right.
Because you get to the venue early, and then you wait around all day to play, and then you play, and then afterwards everyone wants to talk. Yeah. So you're like up for like 18 hours, and there's beer involved in everything, and you don't even mean to do it, but you're like, man, at the end of the night, you're like, I gotta eat something, man. It's crazy.
There's stages of guys drinking less, and one of them is they go to the tequila stage. Like, tequila doesn't give you hangovers, man. Tequila's better, right? Don't they do that? That's like one of the stages.
You even saying tequila makes me want to just gag, man. I can't do it. Even the smell of it freaks me out.
That's probably my favorite drink.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now. It doesn't fuck me up as much as other ones. I like when I am purposely trying to get fucked up, it's whiskey.
Of course, yeah, me too. That's why I had to stop drinking it. But the
That's
older I
like-
get, the more I realize, like, dude, you're not invincible. You can't do this. That's what, man, it's crazy. Your body starts declining, and you're like, I gotta do
Do you ever
something.
do IV vitamin drips after you drink?
I tried them once, and it made me feel worse. So now I'm like
really?
scared of them. Yeah, I did it at a festival one time because I did ACL, and ACL's amazing and everything. It's awesome, but man, I woke up the next morning and I was like, I can't, man. There's no way. It was like 5:30. I had like the 5:30 slot, and we had been driving all night. I was like, man, I can't do this. And Danny's like, here, do this IV. It'll make you feel better. And I did it, and I went on stage. I was like, oh, this is terrible.
Really?
I had a great time, and the show was fine, but it was.
But you
just-
felt worse?
I did feel worse. It gave me a headache for some reason. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What? I don't want to throw any companies under the bus, but I wonder like what they put in it. Because
There's always those IV companies at like the
Yeah.
festivals and things. Yeah.
What you want to get in is glutathione. That's a big one, and it actually helps your liver process alcohol. A lot of people take glutathione while they drink to actually help.
I was
their
literally
liver
about to ask, can you do it
process out.
simultaneously?
Yeah, you
Be
could take,
needled up and
you
drink it at the
could,
same time?
You could. I think that would be cumbersome. But a lot of people take liposomal glutathione. It's a way it gets in your bloodstream better. You like squirt it under your tongue. I've tried that before. But generally, you're rehydrating and you're getting like a full panel of vitamins. You're getting zinc. You're getting vitamin D and B and
I gotta take some
a lot of
notes,
high
man.
dose vitamin C. It's good for your body for sure.
Of course.
And when you're recovering from a night of drinking, it's good to like give your body the building blocks to try to
I get it.
get your shit together.
Wow.
To speak about it technically.
My body like hit a wall because I was so like in the Navy, and it was so physical. Like it was so physical, and like you had to be in such great physical shape. And then like all of a sudden it was like out.
Right. Do whatever
And-
you want.
Yeah. Now it's like you're free, and I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, let's go. It was crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy. I waited like 8 months to. It was just such a crazy story. And then when I finally had freedom, I kind of overdid it.
Do you ever
Right.
think about taking like a trainer with you on the road?
I think we're doing it next year.
That's a good move.
But I hate, there's something in me, it might be my ego or whatever, but there's something in me. It's like, no, you can do it yourself.
Well, you can, but will you?
Exactly. That's what's
if
hard.
you haven't so far.
It's so unexpected. Well, I mean, I have.
But you know what you
enough.
could do? You could make an agreement with the guys that you work with, like where everyone's going to do a specific amount of working out every day. Like you're going to do like X amount of days a week, and you have to do with each workout 20 minutes of cardio, 100 push-ups.
That's cool too. It builds camaraderie amongst the guys. We've
yeah.
been doing better this year on the road.
But if you like have something like that where everybody can complain about it and talk shit about it and have fun with it.
That's when people do their
Yeah.
best, man. When there's a market they gotta like compete with. It's cool.
It's also like a bonding experience, and it's a shared experience. It's like you're having a fun time and you're getting stuff done, and it'll force you to do it. Like you hold each other accountable, and just do it for a month.
Only thing I'm gonna do for the next month is play pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta get better. Joe's good at pool, man.
Yeah, I play a lot though. It's not fair.
I'm telling you, when I say we did too,
Yeah.
a lot, like too much. People like refer to it when they're talking to me. They're like, how's pool? So being out, it's crazy.
Well, there's pool that you play in a bar, like on a bar table, and then there's tournament pool that you play on a tight pocketed table. That's
When I
like
showed
4.
up and the guy started telling me the rules, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What?
That's for 9-ball.
Of
yeah,
course.
but we play 8-ball.
It's the best game in the world besides maybe like poker.
I love it. I
too.
love it more than anything because you have to execute. It's one of the rare games where it's not just knowing what to do and figuring out little puzzles,
Yep.
but you have to execute. Like you have to control your body.
You
So
just
have
put
to be
words
able
to how I feel about it too.
Yeah.
I've always thought that way. I'm like, how is this game so damn fun?
I think that's the same thing that people get with golf, because you have to execute. You
All
have
right.
to make the shot.
Golf, man. You play golf?
No, I don't. But Jamie's an addict.
I can't do golf.
Jamie just got back from a tournament.
I can't do golf. Something about it I just can't do.
You'll get there.
It's got to be the shorts. I'm just kidding. A lot of my friends do play golf, and they always try to get me to play. And I'm
It's a
like,
super addictive game.
I
That's
can't
the only
do
reason why I've never messed with it.
really?
I don't want to get addicted. Like Tony Hinchcliffe and him and Ron White and a lot of my good friends are full on golf junkies.
Really?
They can't stop
I've
playing.
been living in the Northeast, and there's a big. It's like there's a lot of. I feel like in golf you have to go out and like. There's a lot of work involved in getting into golf. Mm-hmm. Same with like sports like lacrosse and stuff like that. There's just like a lot of shit you gotta have to
Oh
play.
yeah, golf. You gotta have how many fucking clubs do you have?
You're supposed to have 14 or so in your bag, plus your
Jesus.
shoes. there's rules about what you got to wear out there. Got
Yeah,
different shirt.
I always thought it was annoying carrying a pool cue on the road. Like taking a pool cue.
60-pound bag.
I feel like a dork when I do that. If you walk into, you're not a dork if you do that because some of my friends do it. But you walk into a bar with a pull stick, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not. And also, people are like, they don't want to play you at that point. I don't, at least. If I'm in a bar and a guy brings a pool stick in and like a glove, I'm like, okay.
But the thing, like, I never played pool much in bars.
That's what you're saying out
Playing
there. Yeah.
Real pool halls. Yeah.
Does that make a
it's
difference,
different
you
game.
think?
Yeah, way different. Yeah. Those
Maybe
people
that's why
are-
I think I'm so damn good.
Yeah,
Because
you're
I've been
playing
playing
with
in bars.
lemons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
But a
I like-
lot of pool players that are really good go to bars because people do think they're good at pool. And they'll go and talk shit.
Hustle
and
up, man.
Someone will try to gamble. And the next thing you know, they're walking out of there with 10 grand.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends that have done that.
We do the dumbest shit at bars when it comes to pool because we'll all like be drinking beers all night. It'll be like midnight and someone's like, I'll bet you on this one. And then like the whole bar will like get around, and just watch us play. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's psychotic.
Yeah, gambling.
It's scary.
Dude, I was in Vegas with Dana White, Taylor Lewin. Who else was
Will
gambling?
Compton.
Will Compton. Who else was gambling?
Yeah,
That was
me
Will.
and-
Will
me
was
and
gambling.
Shane.
Yeah,
And Shane.
and Shane Gillis
Yeah.
was with us and Jamie. And Dana White was gambling, and he was down $600,000 playing blackjack. And I was like,
No, don't do it.
Taylor was telling us. So we were backstage with Shane. Shane Gillis is doing a show at the Mirage. I came to hang out. We're all having a good time. And then he goes, hey, we're going to go gamble with Dana. I'm like, oh, my God. Do you know how hard he gambles? You going to gamble? He's like, I'm up all this money. Taylor's like, I'm fired up. Dana shows me how to bet. We get there. Taylor's down $120,000 in the first 5 minutes.
But it can also go the other way.
Yeah.
That's why obviously
That's
why people
it's so
do it.
terrifying.
It's-
It did go the other way. He made his money back and he won like 65 grand, I think. And then he backed out. He's like,
People will
that's
just
it.
gamble on anything, which is cool.
Yeah.
I do this thing every year where I go to the casino and I'll put X amount of dollars on red every time, no matter what. And I've never lost, which I'll probably lose now that I jinxed it. But like every year, once a year, I'll go and put money on red just to say I gamble, like whatever.
That's good.
I
Once
can't
a
go
year.
to the casino, man. It's scary. Man, we were in, I don't remember, we were like in, it's freaky, like in Arkansas and Oklahoma, Missouri, states like that. If you go to the casino, I was at the hotel, like even the hotels at casinos are scary. You
I'm
like
gonna
go,
se- I'm going to send you something, Jamie.
bunch of stains on the couches, man. You're like, what's going on? You go downstairs and like your buddies are like smoking cigarettes and like with those fucking sticks on the lottery machines or what, the slot
yeah,
machines.
the
And you're
slot
like,
machines.
it's like a dungeon. And you're like, oh, no offense to anyone who gambles, but it scares the shit out of me. I'm like,
It
bro,
should.
imagine. Yeah.
It triggers some things in your brain.
There's
that
certain things,
make you-
though.
This is Dana. He's on vacation in the Amalfi Coast.
Bro.
And this fucking dude brings a casino. He had a casino come
on.
to him.
Bro, who's that kid next to
That's
him, man?
his
What's he?
son.
That's crazy.
So he's got stacks of cash.
That's baller, man.
Playing.
Good for him.
No, it's not. That's a sickness.
Who knows?
He brought a goddamn casino to
My
his
thing
boat.
is, man, if you can do it, you should do it if it makes you happy.
Wow, look at you, all open-minded.
No way. I guess. I guess the last year of my life has made me like that.
Well, that's a good way to be.
No one lets you do what you want to do, or me do what I want to do. Like when it comes to like socially, like on the.
Well, what do you want to do?
I just think everything is so micro analyzed.
Yes.
By you know what I'm saying? Like
But
everything.
there's so many voices. That's what it is.
Agreed.
Like we were talking about earlier. Like if you go on social media and you read comments about you, you're reading the opinions of literally millions of people. There is no way they're all going to be positive.
It's like gambling, man. It's either one way or the other. It's
right.
crazy.
The problem with social media, though, is the negatives far outweigh the positives in terms of the way it makes you feel. Like when you see someone get ganged up on in the social media, I've seen it happen to people where they say something on a podcast that people disagree with. It's some culture issue or medical issue, and people get really mad at them. And then you go to their timeline, you see all these people hating on them. I just imagine like what that does to your psychology, to your mind when you're reading all, like if you read 100 things that like, Zach, you're a great guy. And then one guy, you fucking fraud, you piece of shit. I know who you really are. Like, oh.
Well, being from like individually, it freaks me out individually, like from the inside out. And
Yeah.
also if you see someone get
Ganged up
fucking
on.
socially ruined,
Yeah.
what freaks me out is like, what would have that person done artistically if that wouldn't have happened?
Right.
What would have that person done for the good of people?
Sometimes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it's
if
possible.
they wouldn't have
It's
been,
just either way.
depending on what it was. I mean,
Either way,
it's
it's like
just fucking scary.
there's a thing that people do. What it is they're terrified of it happening to them. So people know it's a thing that people can gang up on people, and it's the same reason why people jump people. Why like 10 guys will beat up one dude. Like you're terrified of that ever happening to you, and when it's happening to someone else, you just jump in and gang up on people.
So it doesn't happen to you.
It's like a thing that people
freaky.
are doing, or they're so afraid of being ganged up on social media that they just gang up. The most neurotic people are also oddly the most aggressive about attacking people.
It's weird. I saw on here like 2 years ago, Sapiens, that book.
Yes.
I read it because of this podcast, and in that book somewhere it says that like people are only supposed to be in groups of 150 people, like villages, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And I had this rant in Denver, Colorado, like 2 weeks ago. We played Red Rocks, and everyone afterwards went out to the pool bar, and we were all just hanging out. We were walking home, and I grabbed my phone because I was we drank too much, obviously, because we had played Forest Hills in New York, and then we went to Red Rocks, and we just were celebrating because it was a big deal to us, at least. And I was walking home with like 8 other guys, and I had my phone, and I was like, man, screw this. And I just threw it behind me. Because it's scary, man. There's so many fucking people. Right in the palm of your hands.
Well, you know what that's from? That's from how we evolved.
Yeah.
That's what they think, at least. That's what some people think. It's Dunbar's number. Dunbar's number. And it's more complicated than like 150 people. It's like there's tiers of people. There's people like family and very close friends. And then there's like a tier above that. Like people, that's the tiers. So like there's 5 people that you're like super close with. And then there's 15 people that you're slightly less close to. And then it goes all the way out to 1,500 people.
And imagine the vulnerability it takes to be you or me. And like in your life, a lot of people think they know you at the 150 level.
Right.
But you don't know any, me personally, I don't know 150 people off the top of my head.
What is this one, Jamie?
I'm just trying to find one that has the explanations of it on the screen.
Yeah.
So you can see it.
How many friends can a person have?
I think about this more often than I should when it comes to like looking at my phone and like seeing how many followers I have or the bullshit that like comes with being socially active. You know, it's crazy.
Well, it's something to think about because what I think is happening is human beings evolved in these tribal groups, and now we're evolving a new consciousness that is actually global. Because it went from being in small tribes to larger communities, agricultural communities, cities, millions of people, countries, and now the whole world. And that's a completely new way of interacting with people that has never existed in the.
It's so much heavier
than
than people make it out to be.
Yeah,
I feel like people are like taking it lightly, which obviously a lot of people aren't. But
I don't think they're aware of it. I think it's just something that you're kind of dealing with because it's just there. You know, you're tweeting and you're looking at the news and, you know, the news cycles. Now the news cycle of literally 8 billion people.
I haven't talked to anyone like this in like 4 years because I'm so fucking scared, man. Not scared of anything in particular. I'm just not scared of the world either. But you know what I mean? I just like, it wasn't worth it to me.
Right.
Not in a arrogant way, just in a way where it was like, man, why?
Right.
I make enough. I write enough music. Like you know me from that, and
right.
I
Why
just didn't
risk
feel the need.
people getting pissed off at you?
Yeah, about something silly.
Yeah.
And I went back to Oklahoma recently. I've been in the Northeast for like 2 years, 3 years, and I went back to Oklahoma, man. And I had some time off, and I just sat in the grass, sat in a field like I used to when I was a kid. I was like, man, that Duncan Trussell episode with you, when Duncan Trussell was like, man, there's probably some sad sack sitting by a waterfall with, he didn't know who's mad at him or who he should be scared at. You remember that?
Yeah.
Crazy that he said that. I'm like, he's right, man.
Duncan's a genius.
He is a genius. And I watch his episodes religiously on here because he's just so beautifully like articulated.
That's how he is all the time too. It's so funny because like we did 2 episodes kind of back to back. We did one where we dressed as doctors, and what was the other one before
I remember, man, the fucking, you guys had I sound like a
you
fucking
got furries.
fanboy, but
Well, we
Came out
did.
as furries.
We
You guys
furries,
got
that's
way
right.
too
we were
hot,
furries.
yeah.
We couldn't. We were respect to furries because like they're
almost
putting
wore
in
one.
work. They're putting in work. Those furries.
I know you guys are talking about it. I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit, I can't believe this realm of people exists. How crazy.
Somebody had a good idea the other night. They're like, you should make every guest dress up, no matter how important they think they are, world leaders. Make them put on clown costumes. Like,
I don't
you
know,
can do
man.
the show, but you have to put on a clown costume.
I could barely put on a shirt this morning. I was like, what do you wear? What do you do here, man? I never done this.
Well, I saw this Johnny Cash shirt sitting in my closet. I was like, this is perfect.
It
This
works.
is a perfect shirt
It
for
works.
the show.
I thought you were working out in it. And I was like, okay, shit.
No.
Should have did it.
No, I shot bows this morning, got a little workout in, came straight here.
Where do you
Cold
shoot bows
plunge.
around here? At your place? Or?
Yeah, I have a range.
No shit.
Yeah, I have a range in here.
I can't imagine just waking up and being like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to head over and shoot some bows, man.
It's
cool.
good for your mind, man.
Has to be.
Oh, it's such
anything
a,
you
just-
you focus on.
Yeah, I mean, forget about bow hunting, but just archery. Just archery, like shooting at a target, is so good for your mind.
Well, that's why doing anything, writing for comedy probably, writing music,
Yeah.
dude, you're just focused.
Right,
And
you're
it's
in
nice.
there, you're
and you
locked
don't-
in.
And I wish I could just be in that state forever, all the
You
time.
But you don't, man. You gotta love it like you love sex. You don't want to fuck all day, every day. You'd get bored.
True, I'm there. I mean, I'm not there now. I love making music and stuff, but like even touring, like playing the same songs,
Right.
I love doing it because the people are so beautiful and the people who come to the shows are so like moved by it. But like people like look at me and they don't realize that I played the same show X amount of times and I'm so blessed, so lucky. But sometimes, man, I'm like halfway through my set and I'm like, give it all you got, man. Give it all you got. No matter how many times you sang it, you know?
Yeah, you
It's
just
cool.
gotta reset. Like those people are seeing you in many. You know what I call the Joe DiMaggio principle is that Joe DiMaggio was playing once, and I think he was like 40 years old, and he slid into third base, and the third baseman said, "Why do you play so hard? You're already Joe DiMaggio."
True.
And he goes, "Because somewhere out there in the audience is someone who hasn't seen Joe DiMaggio play, and I don't want to let him down."
My dad says that to me every time I go on stage. And I think about it too. I think what I do when I go on stage, I look out at the audience and I pick out one like kid, whoever it is, I pick out one kid who's like in it. And I'm like, man, this one's for you. That's how I do it. So religiously, because it's kind of a paradox, man, because you write the music or you write a skit and you care about it so much. And then every time you play it, it feels like you're almost giving a little bit of it
Right.
to other people.
Yeah.
And at one point you're singing the song and you forget. It's so sad because you love the song so much, but you've sang it so many times. So when I look at the kid, whoever's out there, I'm like, that's it. That's why I'm doing this, man.
Yeah.
Let's go. Because it means so much.
What does it feel like when they sing along? Is that wild when they know the lyrics?
This year's been weird because like last year was such a like crazy year for us growth-wise. People used to love it. Now I'm like, I'm getting no arrogance attached. I'm just getting big enough to where people are like, man, I go to his shows, can't even fucking hear him sing. Because
everyone's singing.
Everyone's singing along.
Yeah.
And it scares me a little bit because I fear that like, what if there's like some like 50-year-old woman or 50-year-old man who's like sitting in his house and he's like, man, I'd really like to go to a Zach Bryan show to hear him sing these songs. And then you go to one of the shows and it's all these fucking like reckless kids just doing it, man, shirtless. And the 50-year-old sitting back there like, damn it.
Yeah.
I just want to hear him sing it, you know? But
yeah,
it's...
but they should be just taking in that experience. That's
Yeah.
what it is. You're not going to change it. You're not going to get
No
everybody
way.
to stop singing.
How do you do
Hey,
it?
stop
That
singing.
guy
I'm trying to listen to
sucks.
Zach. Yeah,
that guy
exactly.
sucks,
That guy
man.
sucks.
Whoever that guy is sucks ass, man. I hate that guy.
That guy stormed the Capitol.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. And it's so sick, man, because we had Charles Wesley Godwin on the road with us, like the first year and the second year, and it's like such a... It felt like when I was watching him open for us or whatever, I'm not even trying to plug him, but when he would be singing and like you'd be in like these weird fucking like 2,000 cap, 3,000 cap like roller rinks and all these American venues, like you ever been to the Majestic, you know, and like
Yeah,
in
I've been to
Detroit.
Majestic, yeah.
And the venues like in San Francisco, the Warfield, you look around and all this architecture is so beautiful and like you're hearing that like your opener sing and you're like, this is a chapter in something.
Right.
This has got to be something.
Right.
This is beautiful. There's all these like 18 to 25-year-old kids just like giving their everything to like be there for you.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, this is crazy. This is what you see like on whatever, like you read this shit in books or whatever.
When I was in Greece last week, I got to see Guns N' Roses in Athens.
They're always playing not in America. Bro, my dad always is like, I saw them in Japan. I'm like, why?
I think they played everywhere. I think
Really?
they play a lot in America too, but
Of
but it was
course,
just
yeah.
dumb luck that we happened to be there. And I ran into Axl Rose at a restaurant, and Axl invited me to the show. I'm like, oh shit, like this is wild. And we went and watched Guns N' Roses. These dudes are 60 years old,
And just killing it.
murdering it for 3 hours.
I don't get it.
For 3 hours.
I love that, man. Go off. I mean, do your thing. But
it was intense, and it was like 95 degrees out.
We were talking about earlier how
Yeah.
hard the road is and stuff, and I see these older guys doing it, and I'm like, man, what's going on?
Well, Mick Jagger, when the Rolling Stones were here, they played CODA, the Circuits of the Americas.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
My friend owns it, and he was explaining to me how they brought two trailers that are just Mick Jagger's workout equipment.
Yeah.
2 trailers full of shit.
Still moving, man.
I mean, every day that guy works out. Every day.
Has to.
He has to.
Like we were saying, it'll kill you if
He's
you don't.
Biden's age.
That's crazy.
Bro.
That's insane.
He's Biden's age.
I want to talk.
Look at him out there.
And doing what I do at 27, I look at this and I'm like, he looks great.
Yeah, and dude, he's moving around. You know, like he's not stationary. He's not like just standing there singing the songs. He's dancing.
As a
He's
young
having
person,
fun.
man.
Look at him go.
As a young person, that's not easy.
No, man.
These guys, because they're devoted, man. They're
Yeah.
so into it.
And the show was epic, right? So it's at this outdoor racetrack, and they have these giant fucking screens, this huge stage, and you're seeing Keith Richards and Mick Jagger right there.
Come on, man.
Right there. Dude, I'm telling you, it was like being on drugs.
Dude.
It was like a psychedelic experience. Like I couldn't believe they were really there.
Those guys are so iconic. Sometimes I wonder if they ever think about it. Do they ask themselves the same questions that I ask myself? Or not? That sounded shitty, but like, since I'm smaller, obviously, like watching those guys, I wonder if they came up and accidentally became legends, or like
Well, they were so young when they hit the scene. You have to stop and think about the 1960s.
Was
right?
their dream to become massive musicians?
No, I don't think anybody could have imagined
Yeah,
they could have been the Rolling
that's what
Stones.
freaks me out
There's
when
no
I-
way anyone can imagine being the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
Like, you think Taylor Swift imagined she'd be Taylor Swift?
No way.
Nobody. You
Maybe.
can't. You
Maybe.
can't.
Maybe.
Maybe her.
Yeah.
But for most bands, the idea is just to try to be successful.
There's so many talented people too.
Yeah.
That's what freaks me out being me. I know like 3 chords on the guitar and I'm like, ooh, what's up? And there's so many people that like I get in these circles of these astounding musicians who aren't nearly as big, and I almost have like that. I have a real guilt about it, you know? I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
Why the fuck am I on stage, man? You're incredible.
You're on stage for your songwriting and your voice. And
I
your
guess.
songs, man,
I guess.
and your music too. But it's like the combination of the things, and it's to toot your horn, man. It's uniquely authentic. It's just you have very authentic music. You can kind of tell when someone's bullshitting. For whatever reason, it feels like you could take like a certain amount of it. Like there's a certain amount of sugar that you can take in food before it starts getting gross. You know, where you're like, oh, this is so sweet.
That's why the writing's so important to me. Like man, I can't do it. I
The
can't
writing is
listen.
excellent.
I can't listen to
Corny writing.
personally. I can't.
Well, it's like
and there's no
corny
problem.
comedy.
And
Yeah.
you gotta like love it to love it. But
Yeah.
like people in the car with me, are like, what the fuck are we listening to? And I'm
Right.
like, oh, it's an indie song I found, and I'm like the pretentious asshole, you know?
Oh, you're that guy?
No, I'm not. No way. Like I usually put on like the fucking Barnyard Shuffle 50 of the top hits when people are with me, but when I'm alone,
You know what I found, man? I don't know if you've ever heard this song, but my friend Bryan Simpson turned me on to this song, and this song should have been a fucking gigantic hit.
I hear those all the time.
Should have been I hear this song. I'm gonna sing it to you. I'm gonna send it to you, Jamie.
What's it called?
It's called "I'm Alive." Hold on a second. Let me find it for you. By Johnny Thunder.
I'm Alive by Johnny Thunder.
Here, I'll share it with you, Jamie.
Man, I always want to be the guy.
got
who's like,
it?
Yeah, I heard it.
You got it, Jamie? Yeah. Listen to this, man. So this is a song from 1969, I believe, and it was re-released sometimes in the 2000s.
They probably thought the same thing as you.
But listen to this.
Oh, man. Come on.
How the fuck did this not make it?
When'd you hear this?
My friend Bryan just sent it to me. He's like, you got to listen to this.
Dude, you want to be on the highway right now.
Fuck yeah.
I want to be
In a
dancing right now.
69 Camaro.
Let's go. Oh, shit.
How good is this?
That's crazy.
So good.
You hear shit like this all the time. That's why I feel so bad on stage, man.
Yeah, this is a guy from 1969.
Sick cover, too, man. They had it right. They had all the art right.
Yeah, I mean, that dude is good.
Like in the 60s and 70s, everything you see is just right.
But this one is like
It's
particularly
bigger.
good.
It's bigger.
It's so good. And I'm like, a guy that can do this is like a world famous, gigantic musical
Forever.
artist. Forever. Someone who could do this guy's a star.
Well, it only takes once, too. If you put this on, like, whatever people are using now. Yo! Oh. Dude, we gotta go run around,
Dude.
man.
This is on our pre-show playlist at the mothership.
I'm gonna start walking out to that.
When
That's
we're hanging
sick.
out in the green room, we listen to that.
Well, there's a huge resurgence in music right now because of TikTok and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because people are like
Finding old stuff.
which is
Yeah.
a beautiful thing, also a scary thing. But I don't even know. Like I don't know anything. But it's cool because if one person that was big or whatever used that, it might have a brand new life. Which kind of stinks for the Johnny Thunder was
I
his
think
name.
Johnny's dead.
Which isn't that crazy? Like the Van Gogh thing, where like he knew he was going to be a famous artist, and he like, I don't know if this is Van Gogh or if, I don't know if it's another one, but there was an artist back in that era of like people who, my producer Eddie, he used to tell me this. He said that one of those guys painted his entire life. He would paint in like coffee shops and stuff, and he would tell his buddies or whoever, he would say, "I know one day these are going to be worth something." And then he like lived his life, died. And then 200, 300 years later, or 100 years later, whatever, he got famous for it. And so it's like that's like the whole plant a tree and watch it. Like if you plant a tree, you'll never see grow.
Yeah.
Or plant a tree, you never see it big. Whatever that shit is.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
this Johnny Thunder, somehow or another, it slipped by. How old was he when he died?
I'm trying to look stuff up about him right now. His real name was Gil Hamilton. Tom Jones covered it.
wow.
I found a Ghostface Killah song that sampled it.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I'm trying to
What
look him
year
up.
did this guy?
I think it said, well, the cover was 69. His version, I'm Alive, Thunder, 68.
So Johnny Thunder's version was first, right? And then the 69 version I've also heard.
Tommy James and
Yes,
the Shondells.
it's not as good.
He had to have wrote it, right? Obviously.
I don't think
There's
so.
also a-
I think Tommy James and the Shondells wrote it.
There's a Don Farden.
But if he wouldn't have sang it like that, man.
Oh, he's saying it. So
yeah, exactly. That's
That shit
that's a
was
weird
so
conflict
good.
in my head too. The whole
Right, that's a thing, right?
The covering thing is weird.
Yeah,
I
'cause-
don't cover on stage because I'm young. I don't know.
Right.
Man. I don't act like I'm better than a cover. I don't know. Like if
Yeah.
it's what I stand by.
Well, it's like do whatever you want to do, man. Whatever resonates with you. So, but sometimes people just have a feel for a song and they want to redo it. You
When I
know?
knew everything, when I knew everything at like 20 or whatever, I used to hear covers and be like, "Wait, man, you're ruining the feeling of the song. That writer wrote it and it means the world. Don't mess it up."
Some covers are fucking amazing.
I agree.
though.
It goes
like
one way or
Stevie
the
Ray
other.
Vaughan's cover of Voodoo Child. Come on.
Some of the best songs of like ever were covers.
Yeah, there's some
All Along the
amazing.
Watchtower?
Oh,
Oh, my
yeah.
goodness, yeah.
Oh, right. That's
versions of it. Of
Hendrix,
course.
right? He covered Dylan.
And then
Yeah.
Dave Matthews. Has a
Dave
great
Matthews,
version, too.
yeah, have you seen the
Right.
live one where they're all on
Last night,
stage and
yeah.
just
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
nuts. And something recently in my life I've like started delving into this is crazy to me that people don't even, and this isn't an issue, I have no problem with this, but people don't even give a shit about who wrote whatever if it sounds great, which is cool in a sense. But in my life, even as like a writer or whatever, I just now started going to the song credits and like looking. And it surprises me every single time because there's people who you don't think would write something that did write it, or someone who
Yeah.
sounded so great covering a song that you think they wrote it, and then you go to it and there's like 8 people writing it, and you're like, wait, this is crazy, you know?
I just found out that Mae West was a writer, and Mae West got arrested for writing, I think it was a play.
Spent 8 days in jail. Let's see.
Mae West?
Yeah, it was about sex. There was something about sex that she got arrested for. Yeah. Mae West spent 8 days in
Oh,
jail.
wow, she looks like a badass.
Oh, she was a badass.
What did she do?
We
What-
actually have her couch. Yeah, so Mitzi owned her couch, and Mitzi's son gave it to me, and so that's in our green room at the mothership. We have Mae West couch.
I was trying to get
we reupholstered it.
That's fucking crazy. Where was it at? Was it like
in
New York?
Mitzi's, at Mitzi's place.
Where's Mitzi? Who's Mitzi?
I'm sorry. Mitzi Shore was that's that lady. She was the owner of the Comedy Store.
Oh wow. Okay.
Members of the cast of Sex were hauled. So the show was called Sex.
Who'd
She
have
was
thought?
such a hoe.
Who'd have thought, man?
What a powerful lady. February 9, 1927, Mae West, the original Cardi B, went backstage of a performance of her play Sex and found herself surrounded by officers from the New York City Police Department's Municipal Vice Squad, which rounded up the cast and put them into black police vans. Whoa. West was a smart-talking, wisecracking, blonde bombshell of the 1930s cinema, famous for some of the sharpest and most suggestive one-liners in the history of the movies. As both a playwright and a screenwriter, she wrote many of those lines herself. She was like one of them original boss bitches.
That's insane. It's
so, like,
great to
all
imagine.
these like boss ladies now, like Cardi B's a big one. Like who else? There's a lot of like, I guess you could say Lizzo's like a boss lady. Like who's a boss lady? Beyonce's a boss lady.
Oh yeah, the
Taylor
queen
Swift,
of the queen
Taylor
of them all.
Swift's a boss lady. There's a lot of boss ladies now.
It's crazy to think
They
about.
can say whatever the fuck they want.
They're amazing too.
But back then, like when in Mae West time, like someone who was
No,
like
it was
a
unique.
badass lady
It was unique, and they didn't care.
who wrote a play called Sex.
Yeah,
Like in the 20s.
that's nuts. I'm
That's
surprised she didn't get
nuts.
arrested for that.
I think she did. I mean, I think that's why she spent 8 days in jail.
Oh my goodness.
That was what they arrested her for. Yeah.
That's
What
crazy.
was the official charge?
So much time.
The charge was kind of interesting.
So much time hasn't passed since this shit's happened. Like my grandpa was born in like the 20s.
Listen to what the charge was. Giving a performance not tending to advance the morals of the spectators.
Whoa, man, that's wild.
Wow, that's wild.
I wonder if
She got arrested for giving a performance not tending to advance the morals of the spectators. That's amazing.
because it was all backed by like back in the day. It was all everyone was
Morals
really
and
religious,
ethics.
man, morally.
Well, it was also, you could starve to death super easy back then.
Wait, why do you say that?
The 1920s?
I mean, obviously, yep.
I
Wait, in
mean-
the 20s?
Yeah, dude, that was the Great Depression. Like,
I'm a dumbass,
To
yeah.
come out of the Depression, people.
1927 was a Great Depression.
What year was the Great Depression?
I thought it was like
1919 or something.
Depends on the year, but yeah, right around there.
So people are still recovering from the Depression. My grandmother kind of never recovered from it. My grandmother used to, when she died, when they were cleaning out her house, they found coffee cans filled with money that was stuffed away in the walls.
That's what.
Yeah,
oh,
they were always worried that 1929.
yeah, because
so
the roaring,
it was
the roaring
exactly,
20s, the roaring 20s and stuff from the 20s.
Exactly. Which is, so this is exactly that time period that she made that play, which is wild, right?
Yeah,
so
you would
she's
think
doing
people would
that.
want to go watch it.
Well, I think
Get their
people-
mind off being so depressed, man.
I don't think they had any money. And also I think like it was like a hopeless, helpless kind of depression where everything crashed all at once, like the banks collapsed.
Well, everyone was like,
You know, what caused the Great Depression? It was the stock market crash, right?
Yep.
These motherfuckers been monkeying around with numbers
That's insane.
for 100 years.
I know, right? They've been fucking everything up for that long.
Making insane amounts of money.
For that long, man.
Insane amounts of money. Like that game, that financial banker game, like, woof, those
Well,
guys.
Being from Oklahoma, you hear a lot about like the Dust Bowl and shit too when the Great Depression came by. And I'm like, how
Yeah.
much shit did people have to go through, man?
Right.
Because it was like, I don't know, like I'm not a historian, I'm sorry. But
not?
I know. You hear shit about like the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl all hitting Oklahoma at once, and I'm like, bro, imagine complaining about how your coffee tastes, you know? Like in the morning for us, it's like these people would wake up and like have to fucking be just in the Great Depression and like lift their plate up, and
Yeah.
it's just nuts to think about.
Bro, I mean, there's a great book, rather, a biography of this guy. I think his name was Danny McGurdy. I think it's called McGurdy, Life of a Pool Hustler. And this guy was a pool hustler during the Depression. And he talks about being like so hungry, just knocking on people's doors and begging for food. Just
No
like,
shit.
going from town to town and being broke, trying to hustle people out of money.
He wrote a book. He obviously succeeded at one point, right?
No, they wrote a biography of him. I think a guy named Robert Byrne wrote the book. Did you find it? I have it at home.
I was telling you,
But it's like you're absorbing like those times were so desperate, hopeless and desperate,
which is a scary place to be,
Yeah.
man. It's surprising that more people. This is really dark to say, but it's surprising that more people just didn't go off the deep end and like just cared. You know, that's I have this. I think I talked to you about it last time. I'm fucking annoying, man. I tell my friends about this all the time, like on the bus. I lived in New York for a little bit, and I lived like by the Empire State Building just because I thought I was some fucking, I don't know. I just wanted to get out of Oklahoma for a little bit and go somewhere that I'd never been before. So I moved to New York City, and I lived by the Empire State Building, and every morning I would look up and see the Empire State Building. And one time my dad came in and visited me, and we went up, and I was like, I'm a dork when it comes to like touristy stuff. I love it. We had our I Love New York shirts on, our hats. And you're up. Have you ever been in the Empire State Building?
Yes.
They have that simulation where it's like you go in that floor and you see all these like hardened men like building and riveting the fucking beams.
Yeah.
And man, people were coming from like Iowa and California, like wherever the hell.
Look at this guy adjusting that bolt.
Dude,
he's probably making $1 a day.
people don't have this anymore, I don't think. They don't have the thing where you're like struggling away and your family is whatever.
The kind of person that could do that. I mean, this is like an athlete. Like you have to be. We talked about. There was a guy recently we talked about on the podcast that to this day fixes shit like that. I don't know what country he was in. I don't know if it was America or somewhere else. But this dude was climbing these fucking beams, these metal beams, like an athlete. I was watching him do it. I'm like, I can't do that. So not only is he skilled, but he's carrying tools, and he could physically do things that I can't do. I'm watching him climb. Watch this guy.
This is a different guy, but
Okay, well, this is another guy that's doing the same kind of thing. Look, he's got a harness on. The other guy didn't have a harness.
There's no way like regulations would let someone do that in America. It's probably somewhere else.
Maybe. That is fucking wild.
You ever seen like linemen?
Oh,
like,
now he doesn't have a helmet. This
people
motherfucker.
who work on lines and stuff, like the
Yes.
power lines and stuff. My uncles did that growing up.
They have
And
to go all the way up there?
That's why I wear Doc Martens, because my grandfather wore them and he would put his spikes on.
Oh.
And my cousins and shit just climb poles like in
Jesus
20
Christ.
seconds. They go up there and they're just like touching shit that can kill them all day. And you're like,
Oh, my God.
it's crazy. And they do that, man. It's nuts.
I was watching this, I don't know, it was a balloon or something that flew into these power lines, and holy shit.
What, it explode or something?
They exploded. Just this I think it was Mylar balloons or something like that. They flew into these power lines. Is that what it is?
Oh, this is not as.
These are other balloons that are caught. So this guy has to imagine just thinking you have to touch that thing, even knowing that it's not going to get you, understanding how electricity works. Just imagine wanting to be in contact with that amount of electricity.
Dude, you ever seen that guy who does it like in like Montana? I don't know where it was, but he like flies around on a helicopter and he like gets in a basket and has his stick and he like puts it out there.
For lightning?
Yeah. Oh no, not for lightning, but he's like fixing the.
Oh.
People don't think about where the power comes, like all the power, and this dude's
He
just
does
on
it
a,
out of a helicopter?
Yeah, he's like hanging off a helicopter, just like messing
Oh
with
my
wires.
God.
Yeah, this
Oh
guy.
my
This is the
God.
exact thing, man. No. I looked this shit up because my uncles do it, and I'm like,
Oh
no
my
fucking way,
God.
man.
So what is he doing?
Well, someone's got to fix them when they go down and stuff like that. When
This is so wild, dude.
it's crazy.
So this guy has to climb on these things?
And yeah. It's a big economic thing in Oklahoma. Like
What
being
is he
online.
doing? He's going to
Yeah.
climb in that?
Yeah.
What the fuck, bro?
And that thing will just kill you, man.
Dude, this is freaking
Well, he has,
out.
you know those Kevlar, I don't know if this is right, man. I'm not a lineman, but
Look at that guy's going the other direction.
you know those Kevlar suits that like shark people wear? Mm-hmm. They wear the same thing, the metal thing, I think. I don't know if it's the same shit, but so you don't get
Is that
shocked.
really going to stop you from getting shocked?
Well, it just prevents, it conducts a lot, so it goes around your body opposed to in it.
That's what that thing's doing?
I think.
That thin little cloth that you have?
Yeah. Crazy, man.
Oh.
People do shit like that.
Oh.
That's why those Empire State Building guys are so crazy.
One of
to
those
me.
guys just died. Some guy who's one of those climbing skyscraper daredevils.
In that photo where they're eating lunch.
No,
Oh.
it was, I don't know. Someone, Kelly Slater just sent it to me. You want me to send it to you?
I could find it. I found it.
That's why I don't get. I
he's
respect
30
it a lot.
30 years old. He fell off a building.
Oh, that's so sad.
He plunged 68 floors.
Bro.
He was last seen knocking on window outside
I wonder why he was knocking.
because he wanted to get in. He couldn't
course.
figure out how to get in. He fucked up.
that's scary,
Somebody
man.
closed the window. He climbed out. Somebody closed the fucking window.
Oh man. I wouldn't be disrespectful. I was wondering why he didn't just like
I think. I'm just guessing.
If he
No.
climbs up, did he climb? I don't want to be
I don't know what
disrespectful to a
happened.
man, but
I don't know what happened. I don't know if he just climbed out on the ledge.
that's my worst fear, bro. You ever been on the
Bro,
You ever been
my
on the
hands are so sweaty right now just looking at
the
that.
Golden Gate
No,
Bridge?
don't do this to me, Jamie.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Don't
either.
do this to
I'm
me.
not. I'm
Jamie.
not a height guy either.
Not now. Not after that guy just fell. Have some respect. That's him?
That's what it says.
Don't show me
that's
this, dude.
sad, yeah.
Don't show me this.
That's crazy.
Don't show me this.
That's crazy. I don't get rock climbers at all.
Bro, I've had Alex Honnold in a couple of times. He's a fascinating guy.
I respect him. I've watched all of his stuff, and the Jimmy Chin. I follow him on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
He's like always, not to take away from Alex Honnold, but dude, Jimmy Chin. I like followed him on Instagram, and all I see on his Instagram page is him just like getting into Antarctica water and fucking skiing down mountains. I'm like, bro, what is your like? How are you just do this, man? It's crazy.
He's just doing nothing but wild
Nothing but wild shit, and I think that's beautiful. And he has such amazing footage, and it's so cool to me that people can just devote their lives to showing that kind of thing.
Did you ever see The Alpinist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad.
Sad, but also, I mean, wild. It's sad that but
It blew my mind.
just the experience he had in the small amount of time that he was alive were so over the top to a normal person's life.
How old is Alex?
Alex Honnold, if I had to guess, what would you say, Jamie? 32? 37?
And he was like the alpinist. I'm not comparing the two at all, but how old was he wasn't the kid? What do you like
This
a
kid
kid?
was pretty young.
He was like 18
Yeah.
or something crazy.
Well, he was getting so bored with free solo climbing that he was ice pick climbing on glaciers.
Yeah.
So there was overhangs, like these massive icy
the videos
overhangs.
you see him where he was just
And he's climbing up these fucking things.
you're either
Dude, that is the craziest way to climb.
psychotic.
That's so insane.
imagine the strength too,
look at what he
man.
was doing. He was doing this shit. He
Wait, is this
had-
the alpinist commercial?
Yeah. This is I mean, he was climbing things that nobody was climbing.
And what stinks the most is that look at, and he had like the girlfriend who like loved him so much, and she was so sweet about it. She was like, it's what his passion is.
Dude,
But
there's certain people that are just wired way different.
he did all that crazy shit, and he did such an amazing climb and things. Then he was just with his buddy in Alaska doing I don't know if this is true, but like a simpler climb. And that's when he passed away. And I'm like, man, that's got to be.
I don't know if it was simpler because they died in like an avalanche.
That's heartbreaking.
I think he was climbing some insane peak when he died. I want to say it was in Argentina. Where was it when he died? I forget where it was, but it was crazy. Like they couldn't retrieve his body.
I remember watching The Alpinist and watching the whole film, and like at the end, it was like, it just hit you with it.
Yeah.
And at the end, you're like, what? Wait, what?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
What are you doing?
It was crazy. Oh, this is sad.
It was
man.
Alaska. Okay. So after summiting a new route in Alaska's Mendenhall Towers with partner Ryan Johnson, the pair sent messages to friends and family from the summit, but disappeared while descending after being hit by a storm. Search and rescue teams discovered the ropes several days later in a crevasse. How do you say that? Crevasse. Near the base of the route, leading to speculation that the duo was struck by a falling rock. I don't know what a cornice is, or an avalanche while descending.
What, you don't? A cornice?
What is that?
I'm just kidding. I got no idea.
The cornice, though the bodies were never recovered. So they only found like ropes where a cornice.
That
of
is so heartbreaking, man.
architecture.
And they were trying to call the family and friends.
Massive hardened snow at the edge of a mountain precipice. Oh, interesting. Imagine just saying that in casual
Learn
public,
something new every day.
You know, and people expecting people to know what you mean. Like how pretentious.
That
would
guy's
be?
an asshole, man. That guy's an
You're at a
asshole.
party. That
Yeah.
guy's talking down to you, man.
Yeah, I
for
agree.
sure.
The worst kind of person.
Yeah. A cornice. Oh yeah, everybody knows that, bro.
Hey, man.
Everybody knows what that is.
This is what I know.
Yeah, it's common snow terms for 1,000.
I rock climbed like 2 times in my life, and I was like, this isn't for me. I can't do it.
I can't.
Yeah, you guys are
get
crazy. Are you scared of
sweaty.
heights?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. I'm fearful of dangerous things.
Whoa.
Heights are dangerous.
Like the photographer.
Jesus, this
Dude.
guy's
So
crazy.
that's how you had to take the picture.
Oh my God,
But
sir.
like I was saying, man, these guys.
and look at that camera. That camera's like a typewriter. The size of that goddamn thing.
Bro, I fear that we'll never
shoes he's
get
got on.
that
They have
ethic
leather
back,
shoes,
man.
slippery ass leather shoes.
Who does shit like that anymore? Who's that determined?
Human beings
They
are...
built the Empire State Building in 2 years. Sorry for
can't
interrupting.
believe
Sorry for interrupting.
No,
but
did they really?
2 years, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about the Empire State Building. That was such a beautiful fucking dream and ethic, and people from like Iowa and shit were like going to New York to build it because it was such a beacon of hope.
Hard
And, like,
times create hard men.
Yes.
Hard men create easy times.
And it's so easy to think now, being in my position or whatever, like, oh man, I wish I had a Empire State Building to build. But sometimes I got a song on the new album called Tradesman. Sometimes I wish, man, that I was like just doing something that gave purpose, you know, and obviously music does, and it's amazing that I get to do what I get to do. But yeah, 1 year and 45 days, less than 2 years, bro.
1 year and a month.
When I saw that, dude,
That's insane.
bro, and this is in the 30s, man. Imagine how determined men had to be, bro, or women, like too, but fucking A.
Well, it was all men doing that construction.
Of course, but the people at home and things like that who were taking care of those guys, like,
yeah.
and obviously I say that with
But I'm
respect,
saying
but
just the human beings that were involved in the actual maneuvering and construction of that thing, like that's extraordinary human beings.
hard men, man, who like wouldn't stop for anything, and they knew what they
How
were
many of
doing.
them died? How many people died during the construction of the Empire State Building?
They knew what they were
How
doing
many,
was
take a
important.
guess. What do you think? How many died?
There's 3,400 working on it. It's,
Oh, okay, fair enough. Sorry, I thought you were gonna give me the answer.
No. I'll give you something to build it off of.
3,400.
17 deaths.
17?
Yeah, I say 17.
84?
Whoa.
I'm gonna say 84.
Okay. Jamie?
That's pretty high.
5.
See, that's even more
5
incredible.
workers died in a slip
In
and
the-
fall or struck by accidents over the 13 months of construction.
Slip and fall.
In the 30s, you would think they all fell off of
So
there.
in 1 year, 4 dudes fell from the sky and just splattered on the concrete. Bro.
And I wonder,
And then everybody else has to go to work the next day.
and they can't. I feel like back in the day, people were like, hey, "Shut up, don't talk about it, don't talk about
This
it."
also
Because if they
says there were
talked
a few
about it,
more.
I bet if they talked about it, like people would be too scared to do it.
I think they just accepted the inevitability.
They were devoted. Is what I'm trying to like. Being in the Navy and things like that, man. Like when you, not to be that fucking guy, but like you see, you have like kids working for you, 18 and 19-year-old kids, and you see like the just how people work nowadays is a little bit different. Same goes to me. I'm not any better. I'm just saying those people who are building the Empire State Building were so devoted to the one task at hand, and they fucking did it in 1 year and 45 days.
Those are different humans, bro.
They are, truly.
One of the first incidents occurred while the building was still under construction. A worker who was fired from the job took his own life by jumping down an open elevator shaft. Oh, God.
Whoa, when was it built?
Oh, my God.
Same time period. I think.
Oh, my God. Oh,
As
my God.
as the Great Depression, like 29 to...
It opened in 1931, so they were, yeah.
What a
Oh my
beacon, man,
God.
for these for America. Because that was the tallest building in New York, I think.
Oh, my God.
To build that and be like, oh, yeah, Americans did that. We did that, man.
Holy
What?
Someone jumped from the 86th floor and didn't die.
Oh,
Bro.
It
God.
says a strong gust of wind blew her body back towards the building, and she only fell like 1 floor.
Yo, I'm good, man. I'm not going
What?
anymore. I'm not
what it
going
says.
anymore, man.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Have you ever been to
just
the...
the sheer
So
amount,
the lucky one.
but the gust of wind had to be coming up under her. Is
Was
that
she
even
lucky?
possible?
I wonder what she was like
gets,
after.
It gets windy up high, I'll tell you that.
Right. But is it possible that like 100+ pound person could be slowed down by the wind to the point where they don't die?
It doesn't sound right.
Maybe.
It seems
Never
off.
know, man. You ever done it?
I have not.
Who knows?
Look,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
through the bottom
Crazier
here,
shit's
I can see
happened.
this.
People have fallen out of planes and survived. Like sky jumper. I mean, fucking...
That just might have been a big ledge, and she didn't jump out far.
You ever
enough.
skydove?
It says she landed on a 3-foot ledge about 20 feet below.
Oh, okay. So she fell 20 feet?
Yeah.
But it says she was on the 85th floor.
She jumped from 86 and landed on 85.
All right. No,
That's
I'm not
it?
discrediting
That's what
the
this,
lucky
I mean,
one.
that's what this says. Also, I'm trying to find the year. This
Oh,
is
so
behind
she
of
was
that
found
rock.
laying on the ledge. See? 85th floor ledge.
Mm-hmm.
That is the lucky one. I bet she was
Oh.
fine.
Good Lord.
One time I fell 35 feet, man.
That's far, man.
I broke both my wrists, both my collarbones. It was crazy.
Oh, shit.
And my buddy Graham, my guitarist now, I was like 15. He had to carry me up a mountain.
Oh, my God.
35, not a mountain, 35 feet ledge on a river. It was nuts.
Oh, my God.
It was crazy. It was a
Oh,
rope
my
swing. You ever do a
God.
rope swing?
Yeah.
Like into a river? Mm-hmm. Man, I thought I was so tough. They were like, we were young. There was girls there. I'm like, man, I'm going to go to the tallest rung. I'm going to do this.
No.
bunch of boys being boys, and like I climbed to the very top and tied it off, and I went off, forgot to untie it. Yeah, and just immediately stopped and rolled down like rocks and shit.
Oh,
and I
God
landed.
damn,
Man, this is
dude.
why. This is crazy, but this is why. One of the reasons why I like believe in God, because I went and rolled and tumbled, and my head landed exactly where we'd been putting our feet all day long. So it was indented. So I both my collarbones broke because I landed in that hole, and
Wow.
it hit like that. And it was crazy. And I got up, and I didn't even feel it. I was in so much shock. And I went to climb up, and my wrist popped out. It was crazy. It was
Jesus.
nuts, man. I'll never forget it. But
So you both arms?
my sophomore year in high school, man, I had like 2 casts. I was in a wheelchair. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. How long did you have to keep them on for?
One of my arms was in a cast for like 3 months, and the other one was like, I think, probably like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Holy shit!
But I'll never
dude.
forget it, man. It was
Holy
crazy.
shit.
Yeah.
Isn't
I
it
know.
wild how when you get injured, you so appreciate not being injured. You don't realize
When I'm running a lot, sometimes I get this weird fucking feeling of like, oh man, you got legs.
right.
This is cool. This is cool. And I'm not, obviously I mean that with sensitivity to anyone who can't run or anything. But sometimes I'm running, I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful that we can like use our fucking legs and things like that to move. And
Yeah, if you're an able-bodied person, you're super lucky.
you're like
Super lucky.
0.005% of whatever.
Well, people realize it once they get injured. Once they get injured, that's when they start going, oh my God, I'm vulnerable. Like I could be in pain all the time
Yeah.
from this thing now.
That's how, like anytime I've ever been sick, I felt like that too. I'm like, man, I can't believe we're just in a constant state of like, I guess at a younger age, being okay. And what we were talking about earlier, like working out as much as you can. Because old age is scary, and I'm 27, but when I think about being older and I think about like arthritis and like all the shit that happens, like our parents, when they get sick and stuff, it's like, or grandparents, I'm like, man, you got to take advantage of it now.
Yeah, there's no matter who you are, when you're 98, you're fucked.
Yeah. Doesn't that scare you?
Like, what's the most fit 98-year-old person?
I saw
Find the most fit 98-year-old person.
I saw this video the other day of a 102-year-old climbing Yosemite, and he climbed it with his granddaughter, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Whoa.
I used to think I was going to be a goner by like 40.
That's
Not
what-
in a dark way, but
Maybe they just want, if they want to die, why not die doing something they love?
I agree. It's how a lot of people feel about a lot of stuff, and I don't know how, I don't know.
Did you ever see the documentary Dirtbag? It's about this famous climber who was just like this legendary climber. I forget his name, but he basically just like slept in sleeping bags and slept on people's couches.
Just
like his whole
climbed,
life.
man, forever.
Didn't give a fuck about anything but climbing and mapping out his climbing routes. And like had like these detailed maps of the routes, and it's a Fred Becky.
And no one can say he was wrong, which is
No,
crazy.
Play some of this because in the beginning it's really interesting to hear him talk. In the beginning, like hear him talk.
In my head, I thought he was young. That's crazy.
What's that, Jamie?
There was like music and shit still going on. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
I think it was
I can listen to that song again, man. It was great.
Live the life that he's wanted to live.
Yo.
So this dude was like old as fuck.
Other lifestyle.
Created his own culture. He became a culture of one. It's a grandfather. of
Sick
the road
video,
trip.
wow.
His name is everywhere. He was there before the rest of us were.
That's
The guy
sick.
knows more about the mountains of North America than anyone that's ever lived.
One-track mind most of the time. If it wasn't on women, it was on climbing.
Fred was lively and addictive. There's some sort of magnetism there.
Right now, I don't know what I'm doing except tomorrow. I have no idea.
As kids,
we were together all the time.
Our relationship deteriorated because he continued to climb, and I did not climb anymore.
Fred was only focused on climbing, and he never felt sorry for you if your climbing ended up in a divorce.
Whoa.
Totally obsessive. That's who Fred is.
Dude, he's just sleeping on the ground?
Yeah.
Lead to absolute
Everywhere.
genius.
Some people may think it's an adventure to go on a cruise ship to the Mediterranean. To me, it's no adventure at all unless somebody bombs the ship.
Contemporaries, they founded companies. They were like movie stars for a while. That was, to me, has been
Imagine
one
how
of
many
the great
people are like
mysteries.
this.
Why did the best climber of all never go on to the greatness that they all did?
He's a dirtbag, and because of that,
I don't think he'll get the recognition that he really deserves.
It's a really good documentary.
That's
I can't
insane.
recommend it enough. It's fascinating.
When did it come? When
It was
was
a few years ago I saw it. I don't know what year it came out.
That's wild.
6 years ago? It's really good.
He sleeps on the ground, man. What's weird to think about is
he just never stopped wanting to do that one thing, and for some reason that like haunts people.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing, you think?
Here's what's weird. If you saw him sleeping on the ground like that and he was 20 years old, you go, well, you know, he's a kid.
Yeah.
Still living his life. Why is it when you see him when he's 70 years old like that, is it so sad?
Because we have a thing everyone has to abide by
Yeah.
in our lives, you know?
Right.
Which I think is, I don't know, I think it's good for us.
It's good to have that thing?
Yeah, I think it's good to, like, evolve past.
Not if you're that guy.
I guess. That's what I was asking. Like, who knows what's right?
I think we have to realize that everyone is not wired the same, no matter what we think.
And everyone thinks everyone should be.
Yeah. Everyone thinks that everyone should be wired exactly the way they are.
And then when they
that's
aren't, they're pissed.
Yeah, it's just not the case.
They want to control.
Yeah,
Man.
it doesn't work that way.
Want to control, yeah. That's how I feel with everything sometimes. That's why I get so frustrated with people. Because everything I do, someone has an opinion or whatever, and I'm like, this seems like you just want me to be who I'm not when it comes to these sorts of things.
That's just, you're probably, if I had to guess, you're probably taking in too many opinions.
Of course, man.
You know, you should probably have as little opinions coming in as possible. I think you know what you're doing.
Deal. Deal. Isn't it crazy, man? It's nuts.
Just stay away from other people's ideas.
But also, like, I feel like people didn't grow up in this. I feel like this is a whole new world now.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking to Travis, I respect him after talking to him and things like that. And we were talking and he was telling me about all these things and I was like, I feel, and indifferently, I was like, man, I feel like we live in two different realms of music and things like that. Because I feel like the world's so different now from when the whole Nashville scene was back then. And it's just funny to get to talk to other people and hear about their experiences and how they, I don't know.
What's the big difference?
I feel like radio was a huge thing. It might still be, but I feel like radio was a really, really big deal back in the day. And it's still a big deal, but it's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, nobody really, I mean, I'm sure some people do, but the amount of people that listen to radio now has to be.
I've been surprised by it lately because I've been going to the lake and stuff. And
Oh,
I've been
yeah?
going to like birthday parties and things, and I've heard a lot of radio, and I'm like, oh, wait, I guess people still listen to the radio.
Can you make radio sound good? Like, it was always like a lower quality signal, right, Jamie?
They have what they call HD radio now, but it's still using the same technology, you know? It's still spreading out radio waves. the
But
same
is
way.
it as good sounding as like
streaming?
XM sounds better, right?
Sure. Yes.
And then streaming's the best sound.
Yeah, it's all compression. It's going to be
Do
the
people
best.
really care, though?
Most don't.
Yeah, a
most
lot of people don't even realize
They
it.
just want to hear it loud, turn it up.
That's crazy about like writing music and stuff like that because the first records and stuff, they were so bad. We recorded on like one at like this kind of microphone, and we didn't know what we were doing, so everything just kind of sounded shitty. But no, it was like renewed my like faith in humanity because no one gave a shit. They were like, "No, these are good songs, man. We like them."
It's authentic.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
it was
there's
really,
something
really
to be said for things being not that professional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it shows you more of who the person is.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
as long as it's legit.
I
Right?
guess.
The worst thing is fake authenticity.
You say that, but like there's like all the oh man, can't. Like, man, I don't think people give a shit, man, that much at least. Like people, like the songs on the radio and things like that, they're all.
Well, there's two different things going on, I think. There's people that are making songs that they think are going to be hits, and then there's people that are making songs because they want to create something special. I think there's two different things that are happening. And some people are really good at that one thing where they make hits, and they make these kind of catchy songs, and maybe they don't resonate with you, but they resonate with enough people that they become real successful. But it's like, and you know, it gets to all kinds of different levels. Like it gets to like the Milli Vanilli level, right? Where they created a fake band and they had these guys go out and lip sync it.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I feel like that was more acceptable back in the day. I feel like people are really like hitting on the whole like realness thing nowadays. When back in the day, I feel like there were just mega stars who just did whatever, like all the lip syncing and things, like all the.
Do people still
conspiracies.
do that today? Some people do, right?
I think. I don't really know. Like, I've seen...
Oh, didn't Cardi B throw a microphone?
She got very angry. She did 2 microphones, though, I saw.
Was the music still playing?
Yeah, she was rapping, if you will, over her track without the vocals taken out, which they do sometimes.
It's very, it's very gray. It's like a gray area for me, but it doesn't make sense to me because when I play...
I'm sorry. Is that why the girl threw the drink at her?
No, but they also, like, getting way too deep. Some contracts, they might not pay for you to do the real performance. They might just pay for that, and you have a different fee for that performance kind of thing, because it's still less of a big thing for them. Yeah, less risky. They're not. It was like daytime in Vegas.
Do people get mad when you do that?
In Vegas, in the daytime party, why would you? You're not. You're just happy that they're there.
Do you remember when there was a girl who got caught doing that on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah,
that's what I was talking about when I brought it up. The whole like conspiracies behind lip syncing and stuff.
Yeah.
But today, production is so like fucking in everything that like people will just say they're like, it's a backtrack, when in reality it's like a lot of their performance. And there's like a word for it now, so it's okay. I think, man, I've never like dove into it or anything, but it's kind of sucks when I got my boys up there like busting their ass, fucking trying to hit every single note right. Which is a lot of beautiful bands who still do that to this day, but you hear about like a lot of like click tracks and shit in like your in-ears, and it's like, oh man, we rehearsed a lot to make this sound almost as good as that, you know? 'Cause it's a playback track or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a weird controversy, I guess, with people, right?
And I forget words all the time, which is crazy. Like, I was at a festival like 2 weeks ago, and I was playing in front of fucking 25, 30,000 people, and I was playing, and I literally blanked on it, and I had nothing. I got nothing.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like...
What'd you do?
I just said, hey, I'm going to restart it. I forgot the words. And people were like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, but it's such it's like, it blows people's minds. I'm like, no, I'm singing this stuff.
Well, it's also cool for the people, too, because they get to see something that's rare. You know, it's not just a regular performance.
Which is silly. People are so inhuman to me when it comes to like watching people perform. I'm like, how are they doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Because when I'm performing, I'm like going crazy in my head. I'm like, don't forget it. Don't forget it. You got it. You got it. Look at the kid.
Have you ever taken anything from memory, like nootropics or anything like that? You know what those are?
Budweiser every time.
Budweiser will do a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Budweiser's bad for your memory, but I don't think it's good.
Can't be. No. The other guy said, Huberman said it kills you.
Yeah, it's
He knows, man.
Relaxing you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But there's a bunch of different things that are called nootropics, and they're vitamins and nutrients that you could take that actually help your memory. They help brain function.
My buddy Austin, he takes them all the time.
Yeah.
He makes it a huge deal when he does too. He
makes a big deal out of it.
He jokes about it, man. He does it like he jokes about it, man. He'll like take one and be like, "Hey guys, I'm on it right now. I can do anything you want." It's crazy, man. But I've never felt like I needed to. I feel like I've done a pretty good job of like remembering every word I've ever written when it comes to being on stage.
But not even just for that. It's like it increases whatever the fuck is going on in your head when you're conscious. You know, like you know how you're awake and you're alive, and you know, but you vary day by day. You vary in like how well you can talk. You vary in how well you think. You vary in how much energy you have. What nootropics do for me is they can get you to a point where like there's less of the negative and much more of the like communicating and being able to think and being able to remember things at the peak of your abilities.
Wow.
Like you want to be closest to that.
We joked about taking one before I came on here.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because you want to take more than one. I think I take like 6. I take 6 at a time, those alpha brains.
Because I like being quick. I mean, everyone likes being quick-witted when it comes to just speaking and communicating and things like that.
I just like my brain working better.
I guess.
Like sometimes you feel fucking foggy.
That's what I mean when I said I forgot the fucking song that I've sang 1,000 times. And you do it and you feel like an idiot.
I'm sure.
And every time I get off stage, I'm like, holy shit.
But that's touring too, right? You're getting worn out, man.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
Like how many months have you been? What's like the longest run you've done?
At the beginning of the year, when you saw us in Austin, Two Step In started our like Europe run into the May run, which was like 60 days. It was absolutely insane. At the end of it, we ended it at Railbird in Kentucky, and I just laid in the grass, and I was like, thank God. It's crazy, man. But then you see fucking Mick Jagger and stuff doing it, and you're like, man, why am I complaining? Shut up. You know, you're like, get on stage, bro.
I don't think Mick drinks anymore.
That checks. I've been there too. Well, It's been a weird.
I had to guess.
It's been a weird conflict in my head because I don't like take anything. I don't like take pills or anything, and
That's good.
Getting on stage is scary. I mean, like normal pill, like beta blockers and stuff
right.
like that. They keep you from freaking out. But dude, I have like.
Have you ever taken those?
No.
I've always wondered, like,
I just lied to you. I've taken them one time, and I took them, and I was like, this feels weird, man. I'm not like in it, because I get really bad stage fright, like super bad stage fright, and I like. But then as soon as I'm on stage, I'm like, oh, this is sick. I don't know where it comes from.
So it's right before.
Every time.
Just before.
And I just like, my whole body locks up and I'm like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Oh shit, we're doing it. Oh, okay, cool. And then I'm doing it and I'm like, why are you freaking out?
I think it's just because you love what you do and you want to do it great.
Yeah, nervousness is a good thing.
I think there's certain amount of nervousness is a good thing.
And I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, it puts you on edge.
Truly, it's nice.
Because your performance is like, when I saw you live, you're so hyped up, man. It was really exciting. It was really fun. And if you have to be nervous before every show to accomplish that.
Exactly. I just want to be hungry, man. You know, like I
Yeah.
don't miss it because I still am, but I just always want to feel that. I always want to feel like I'm proving something every single time.
You can keep that.
I know. And it's been beautiful to see that over the last 3 years because I thought at this point I'd be like, oh, screw it, man. It's beautiful. It's cool.
I think if you love what you do, you can keep it. I think there's just, as you're going to get more and more successful, it's going to get more complicated. Your life will get more complicated. It gets more intertwined and it gets more public. And you're going to experience a lot of success. And when you experience a lot of success, then it becomes weird. And then you have to readjust constantly.
I'm dealing with
this
that, yeah.
new way of life. Readjust
Agreed.
this new amount of pressure that people have on you.
To adapt.
Yeah.
To adapt. It's crazy to think, man. I remember like when it all first started, I was like, oh, this is it. I did it.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 months in. I had no idea. I got a steak dinner bought for me by like a label or something. I was like, man, if all I get from this is steak dinner, then I did it. And it's been really beautiful to like watch it unfold and see how it all worked out.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it is a crazy story, right?
It is, yeah. And being in the Navy for like 9 years beforehand is even crazy because no one ever talks about that. I'm like, bro, I busted my ass, man. I was like in Africa and fucking Bahrain and stuff, and I was like,
what'd you do in Africa and Bahrain?
This is a crazy story in itself, but I won't tell the whole thing.
Tell the whole thing. Shit.
Okay, so
crack open a second Bud Light and let's go.
Like I said about my dad, he was in the Navy for like 25 years. So I was, hey man,
look at you.
Hey man, dork, bro. I've always loved Dress Blues though. That is sick. You ever heard that song Dress Blues by Isbell?
No.
You gotta. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But my dad was in the Navy for like 25 years, and my mom was in the Navy. Like I said earlier, my grandpa was in the Navy. And so growing up, when I was like 14 years old, I was like, man, I'm going to be in the Navy. That's all I want to do. I want to like die for this country, man. It's the best country in the world. I want to be in it. I want to experience that whole like Empire State Building thing where you're devoted to something.
Yeah.
And so I turned 17 and my dad was a recruiter in Oklahoma. And I was like, okay, cool. So he like helped me get recruited. And I was supposed to go in the Navy as a diver. But shit fell through. My dad was like, it'll be fine. You'll get to boot camp. And they'll ask you if you want to be a diver. And then you could just say yes and it'll be fine. So I was like, okay, sick. So I get on a fucking bus and I'm like, let's do this. And I was nervous. I was scared, man. I was terrified because as like a kid, you don't really know what to expect in the military. And I like end up at boot camp, which is crazy. And I was terrified. And then I realized it was all just kind of routine and stuff like that. And I got out of boot camp. Actually, no, that's not the whole story. I was trying to be a diver. And one day they were like, hey, you're gonna get to reclass what you're doing. And they gave me like 2 options. And it was like be a master at arms, which is like a cop in the military, or be a aviation ordnanceman, which is like the dudes who like load the bombs and things on planes. And I was pissed at my dad. I was like, what the hell, man? I thought you said I was gonna get to be a diver. I called him. I'm like, dude, you suck, man. And so my buddies were all AOs, which in the Navy, they're all fucking made fun of because they're all like big old dumb idiots. And then I became an AO, and I went to A school to be an AO, and it was amazing, man. I met some of those beautiful people I've ever met. I've learned more than I've ever learned. But while I got stationed in Nebraska, and I hate this. I'm not gonna I'm not going to oversell this because I don't want to sound tough, but I trained to be a SEAL for like 2 years with this guy named Senior Chief Lundquist out of Omaha, Nebraska. And I trained really, really hard. I took a bunch of these PSTs, and I would call my mom like every day. She would ask me how far I ran, how far I swam, how much I lifted and shit. And then I don't take it lightly either. I'm not tough. It never happened. But I wanted to go to Buds really bad because, like I said, I wanted to do something that was like, greater than myself. And then the day my package came back for the Buds thing, my mom had died. And I was like, well, fuck, man, this sucks. This is crazy. And all the while I was an AO, and I hated it. I was like, oh, shit. Now I got to be an ordnanceman. And when she passed away, I was like, man, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to pursue that. So I bitched out for sure. And I wish I wouldn't have sometimes, but like life is crazy. And my chief, who's like high ranking, he looked at me and he was like, man, you want to go out there and die or something? Why do you want to do this so bad? And I was like, I guess you're right. And it's one of those stories in my life where I look back and I'm like, man, if things would have been different, what would have happened? But she passed away, and then I moved to Washington to be an ordnanceman. And then as soon as I fucking landed in Washington, they sent me to the desert, this Bahraini desert, to like learn how to like build missiles and load missiles. It's crazy. And it was sick, man. It was beautiful. So
you had to build missiles as in like load them, or as in like disassemble and reassemble?
And this is different from EOD. There's explosive ordnance disposal, and then there's AOs, which AOs are kind of just like the little tiny baby cousin of, they're not even connected. EOD, there's some badass guys. AOs are just the dudes who build, load, arm, and dearm the bombs that are on the planes that are taking off.
Just build bombs. No big deal.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's neat. And but fucking, it's crazy. So I was in the desert, man. I was fucking like 19 years old. Like, oh shit. Okay, I'm here. And I was a sand sailor for sure. I never like was on a ship. And so that was my first deployment, and I fell in love with it. I wanted to do it like always. I was like, this is amazing. I had this really great gunner. Gunner's like your officer above you. And he just inspired me so much to be the best that I could be like every day. So I'd go into work and dude, I was a fucking kiss ass, like in the Navy. Everyone hated me because I was like, let's do it. Let's go to war, man. Let's go. And we were just doing simple shit like eating dinner, you know? And, but I fell in love with it, and I wanted to do it forever. And so we would like launch planes out and like do the keys and shit to arm the missiles that took off and things like that. And I forgot what your damn question was. I'm so sorry. Like at the very beginning.
I don't remember what the exact question was either.
Oh yeah, just being in the Navy in general. And
what were we talking about? We were talking about something in specific. You had a specific story.
Exactly. And then I said I didn't want to tell the whole story, and then
God damn it.
Oh, I was just saying that I was in for like 9 years, and no one ever talks about that shit now. And I was like, and then I went to Djibouti, Africa, which was crazy.
That's right. I asked you about Africa, and I asked you about Bahrain.
Yeah.
That's what started it. Yeah.
And then I was in Africa for like, dude, I've been in Africa for like a year of my life. I was deployed there twice. And it's like, I loved every second of it, because I'd wake up at 5 a.m. every morning and like go eat breakfast, go like load your plane, go eat lunch.
What part of Africa were you in?
Djibouti.
And where's that?
The Horn. It's like right on the edge, either top or, I'm going to sound like an idiot.
Was there a lot of wildlife?
No, we were stuck on the base.
Oh.
The whole time. You can't even go off the base. It's crazy.
Oh,
it's
really?
called Camp Lumineer, yeah. And it's
wow.
But it's cool though, because there's like 8 gyms, man, and like food. That's all you do, and you're happy as fuck because it's so simple.
That is wild.
And you go to breakfast, work out, go do your job, work out.
That's what it looks like there?
No way.
You were probably.
Yeah, man, a little shittier where we were, man. It's cool.
And so you're just on the base, and that's it.
Yeah, and then every morning, like whether there's like cluster bombs or whatever, you'd go assemble them or load them and shit, and it was really crazy. Wild. Yeah, and then, like I said, one day I just like ended up like, it was overnight. One day I just like went to fucking Jacksonville, Florida, and was playing my guitar on Twitter, and it like blew up. And then my chief was like, "Hey man, this is crazy. You gotta fucking. This is a conflict of interest, man.
Right.
You can't." Because
I
was
famous.
Like, yeah, I was like, I think they were scared that I would show up to work and just be like, "Fuck you guys, man. I don't need this." You know, it never happened. I would never do that because I was so devoted to being in the Navy. But
they thought they were losing all power over you.
Exactly, which is crazy to think about, man. And I had this fucking my gunner one day comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, man, this is getting crazy. You got to get out of the Navy." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. Do I have to?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'd rather not." And he's like, "Okay, too bad." And then he was like, "Okay, you'll be out of the Navy next week." And I'm like, "That's crazy. All right, been doing this for 8 years now." And then it took 8 months to process me out of the Navy. And it was crazy because every day I would go into work and think like, "Oh, this is my last day in the Navy. Cool."
For 8 months.
This is my last day. You got to work as hard as you possibly can, man. Make it count, make it count, make it count. And every day I'd go in and just bust my ass. And then, dude, like 6 months in, I'm like, I'm in the fucking Navy forever, man. Sounds good.
Jesus Christ. Why is that? Is that just standard for paperwork?
It's never happened. It's never like, I think, don't quote me, but like Elvis Presley was the last guy who got like honorably discharged out to make music. And I'm not like being arrogant in that either. I think that's true. And it just never happens like that. There's been a lot of stuff with like NFL players who are like at the academy, the Naval Academy, who like are really good at football and getting drafted to the NFL. They have to like get transferred out and stuff like that. But it's never happened like some Joe shit the ragman AO like me. And that's when I knew it. That when my gunner called me that day and he's like, "Pack your bags," I was like, holy this is that serious. I called my dad. I thought he was going to be disappointed because he was a Master Chief and stuff. And I was supposed to be a Master Chief. My dad had like a bottle of whiskey when I was a kid that said Master Chief Bryan on it for me when I made Master Chief. So I thought when I called my dad, he'd be disappointed. But he was like, "Hey, man, come home. Do it." And I thought it would flop. I thought it'd be nothing in a year.
But you were already successful online.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I never like played a show or anything. And then we went, like, I got
Do you remember your first one?
Oh, yeah.
What was it?
It was the pageant in St. Louis, Missouri.
How many people?
It wasn't the very first one. This is unfair to say. Like, my best friends in Washington when I was in the Navy, I used to play at this place called, I used to play, like, shitty acoustic sets at this place called Off the Hook, where, like, all the sailors went, like, on the weekends and shit. They had, like... And my best friends, Austin and Kramer, they used to come to the bar and watch me. These two fucking dudes just looking at me play. And every time I'd finish a song, they'd clap for me, man, because they're real friends, you know? And that was like the very first show I ever played. But the pageant in St. Louis, I got out of the Navy, and here's what's weird for me, because musicians have I'm talking way too much. I apologize.
No, you're not at all.
Musicians have usually a pipeline, which drives me crazy. I don't know why, but they have a pipeline of like, "Oh man, I played the small bars, and then I played the bigger small bars, and then I played the bigger small bars, and then I went to medium venues, and then I went to bigger medium venue." And they have this like thing where they're proud of it, of course, which I would be too. That's a journey. But when I got out of the Navy, I was already like there. So I like hopped on a fucking tour bus. So like, "Hey, you're going to the pageant in St. Louis. Play."
Wow. How many people is that?
I think 2,000, 2,500.
Wow.
Which was crazy for me because I never played a show. And people blame me a lot for this shit. Like they get mad at me. And I'm like, bro, I didn't fucking do this. I didn't mean for this to happen. And
why are they mad at you?
I agree. And it freaks me out too. And I just like, I wish I could just like talk to people and be like, "Hey man, this is all."
There's a phrase that I've heard that I've repeated way too much, but I'm gonna say it one more time. I forget who said this, but we'll look it up. All criticism is the tragic result of unmet needs. So people who feel like they should be you, people who feel like,
man
why
in the
not
arena
me?
shit. I was thinking about that before I got here.
Yeah, there's something to that. There's something to like what you do with your energy. If you're a big old hater. Marshall Rosenberg, father of nonviolent communication, said that every criticism, judgment, diagnosis, and expression of anger is the tragic expression of an unmet need. Peace requires that we develop the skills to recognize the needs, feelings, and values that influence our perspective so that we can respond. I forget what it's not. I don't know what the rest of the article says. That's just the highlight. But whatever it is, so we respond appropriately. Often we react to situations and people that push our buttons instead of recognizing that our emotions are simply a guide to uncovering the unmet needs inside. Instead of looking outwards in blame and judgment, self-awareness helps us see our role in each interaction.
That's insane.
Beautiful, brilliant.
And I get that, but you're like empathetic to those people.
You can't be empathetic to someone who's mad at you because you're successful.
I learned the hard, like last year, we did a whole bunch of shit like with ticketing and stuff like that. We like tried our best, actually. Like as a man, I was like, okay, I'm gonna fix this problem, man. This is happening.
I remember we were having a conversation on the phone about it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, man, it's me. I'll be the guy. I'm gonna do this. And then I did it, and it was just Theo was on the video and stuff for it. I like put out the scalpers. I was like, I'm gonna make everyone register. We're gonna show IDs at the venue. Tickets are gonna be $150 no matter what. No matter what, I don't care. And fucking backfired on me because people were just so angry at me about it, and I was just trying to do the right thing. And so it kind of...
Was everybody angry at you? Or
No,
were some
of
of the
not.
people happy with you?
Of course. Hard to tell.
Yeah, that's
Hard
the
to tell.
problem.
Exactly, it's hard to tell.
That's the problem. And that's why in that Dunbar's number, those 5 close confidants, those are the ones you need to be able to have a conversation with about that kind of shit.
And that's the thing about my life, which is that's the thing about my life, which is so crazy, is because I have so many people that are so close to me, and they know why I do what I do, and the feelings that I feel, and why I try so hard, and why I do this, why I do that. Same with everyone's life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard, I think, to be a figure or a big figure and say one thing to those people, and then the public eye sees something else.
Right.
And it's like, damn, tried my hardest, you know. It was crazy, man. It was nuts. It was like psychotic.
Well, like we're saying though, there's always going to be someone that's upset. And if you have people upset at you, even if it's a small percentage of the people, that feeling is magnified. It feels way worse.
But their feelings are valid though too. Like that small amount of people whose feelings are like that. I have that problem.
It depends on what we're talking about.
Very true.
It depends on what we're talking about. I mean, sometimes it's valid, but sometimes it's just a pure expression of that paragraph that guy wrote.
Yeah, very, very true.
It could be that because there's a lot of people are upset because they didn't figure it out and they didn't get the breaks they thought they deserved and they didn't get opportunities, or they got a bad roll of the dice in terms of like their life and where they grew up, and they get really angry when they see someone who hits the lottery. And some people hit the lottery. You know, I think most people respect a long grind to be like the Rolling Stones. Like if you're the Rolling Stones, like how can you not respect that? The guy's 80. He's up there
Still
doing concerts and killing it.
And probably when they were a younger band, they fucking grinded and grinded and grinded in those, like I was saying earlier, with those small venues, those medium venues and things like that.
So nobody would hate on the Rolling Stones.
No.
But someone would hate on you because you're new. So it's this new thing where this guy, like, he didn't even have to try that hard.
He didn't even play the small ball.
This motherfucker was in the Navy.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. I've been on the fucking road since I was 12.
And people forget, man, about the fucking like 4 or 5 hours a night I spent after a shift in the Navy, like doing the shit, writing songs, getting good at writing songs. People forget that it takes a lot to be a good writer.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not talking out of my ass. I'm saying that that's one thing in my this life that I know that I've earned because I've written so many things and I've had so many shitty songs that I've like, and I'm like, come on.
Do you write pen to paper or do you write with a laptop or a
pen to
computer?
paper? I can't. I have fucking 70 notebooks in my truck right now.
Wow.
Because and they're all
Do you
like
store them? Do you like store them like images of them or anything?
No.
No.
I think it's kind of cool.
That is
to have
cool.
that.
It's
But
very cool.
It's not fucking
super valuable.
I know. Last year I had a buddy. We were at the studio in Times Square, and he had this backpack on. My notebook, 4 of my notebooks were in it with like every like, yeah. I don't know if I should say this, but like every song I'd written in the last like 2 years, and it was
that's scary.
Left it. Crazy, man.
No.
Crazy, man.
Oh my God, you freak.
Middle of New York City. Yeah, I was terrified. But that's why I don't know if I should say it. Someone's going to fucking go on a scavenger hunt and look
They're
for
gonna
it.
find your fucking songs.
Exactly.
And try to sell them back to you.
It's crazy.
Maybe you can get like a reward.
Maybe.
Put out a reward. Maybe some kid. How long ago was this?
November last year.
Homeless people wipe their ass with
I
those
know,
songs.
right? Exactly, man. Think about that, bro.
Yeah, I wonder if imagine if there was like a fucking super hit
I
song.
think about it all the time.
Like
It's
something in the orange,
I
and it's out there, and some homeless guy's wiping his ass with it right now.
And he loves it. And he loves it, man. It feels great. I think about it every morning I wake up, I'm like, fuck, man, who'd have thought?
Maybe someone will find it.
I think everything happens for a reason, though.
Yeah?
So maybe I had a fucking shitty album in there.
Oh, I doubt it, dude.
It's crazy.
You
But yeah,
don't-
I'm pen to paper for sure. Are you, when you write your comedy, are you?
No, I write on a computer.
I don't.
Always.
You think that hurts it?
No, I can write faster.
And your comedy's
So-
hilarious. I'm just asking if you think it makes a difference in writing pen to paper.
Hurts it in terms of memory, yes. So I write pen to paper when I'm writing stuff down before a show. So I'll write on index cards and I'll write on my notebook.
Whoa.
Before a show. So I'll write out key bullet points, key important parts of a bit. But when I'm writing, I don't want to be hindered by time. So if I have a thought, if I'm sitting there and I'm writing, and I can type without looking, right? So I can touch type. So as I'm sitting, when I have
Joe.
when I have ideas, I can get them out. Like I can write appreciation like that quick. But if I have to write a
Oh yeah.
it takes too much time.
Yeah.
I can.
I'm the opposite, man. I'm an ass. I'll like take as much time as I can writing the song.
Yeah, but that's nothing wrong with that. That's
course, yeah.
I know a lot of comedians, like my friend Mark Norman. He carries a stack of index cards in his pocket. It's like that thick.
Why are you so worried about wasting time?
No, it's just better for me with thoughts. With time, like the more, like when I'm writing something out, if I have a thought and I got to capture it, if I can get the words onto the screen quicker,
yeah.
then I have less of a chance of not
Forgetting it or something.
Yeah, not holding on to the idea.
Wow.
Because if I have to write out a word and then like, fuck, what was I saying? Where did I go with this? I want to be real sure that I have like a flow of ideas to documenting the ideas to expanding on the ideas. And I don't want to be herky-jerky, touch typing,
I've been there.
pointing in. I don't want to be, poke typing.
Yeah.
I want to be able to just write.
Wow.
And when I can just write, it's so much, I can get so much more done. So I can write paragraphs, and the more paragraphs I write, the more there's a chance that there's something fertile
Something
in there.
great in there.
And then I take those things and I take them out.
That's
And then
happened to me
I put them in
before.
another file.
You forget some shit.
Always.
Oh,
You're
it's
always gonna
terrifying.
forget shit.
I know.
Always.
And
I
you
have great ideas in the middle of the night. I'm like, I'll remember.
Never
I
remember.
never remember. I'm like, this one I'll never forget.
Melodies are weird. Melodies are really weird. Yeah. And
How
I'm
do they
not-
come to you for the most part?
I just have to have a guitar. I'm different than a lot of people. A lot of people, it just pops in their head. I'm like, no, I gotta sit with my guitar for like 10 hours
Yeah.
and play. It's such a different but the same thing. Like I feel like writing comedy is probably similar to writing songs in a way. How do you get jokes in your head?
You have to write and you have to think and you have to hang out with your friends. A big one is hanging out with our friends. Like, so, you've been to the mothership and see how we all hang out together.
Of
Everybody's
course,
talking
yeah.
shit and laughing. And we're like, like the other night, Ron White was telling this story. And I said, have you told this on stage? And he goes, no, I haven't. I go, fucking please do.
You gotta.
I'm like, that is a giant chunk of material. I'm like, please write that down. That is hilarious. He's done that like 3 or 4 times. Like
Well,
we were
funny people are just funny people.
Ron White is so funny.
I wish I could meet him so bad, man.
Oh,
I
you
used-
can meet him.
I
You
used
can
to-
meet him.
I remember being
I'll
a
set
kid.
it up. Are
My
you in
dad-
town tonight? I'll have you meet him.
I'll meet Ron, man. Let's
Dude,
go.
he'd love to meet you. He's the fucking man.
My dad used to force me to watch him, man, when we were like kids. And then, not that he's getting old or anything. I'm just like, remember that fucking
He's
dude?
definitely getting old. We all are.
Do you
But
remember
he's
that?
Awesome.
The 4 dudes when we were younger, you get it on DVD. It was like Larry the Cable
Yeah,
Guy,
Blue
Ron
Collar
White,
Comedy Tour. It was
Jerry.
huge. That's
Jerry.
what made Larry the Cable Guy. That's what made Ron White. Jeff Foxworthy was already really successful.
It was huge. Everyone watched it. I remember like
Huge.
my
Bill
whole family
Engvall.
was talking about it in Oklahoma like that. I'm like, yo,
Huge. It was huge.
that's crazy. But I've
Yeah.
learned that what you were saying about that was really beautiful. What you said about you have to hang out with your friends because
It's a big part of it, right? Like communication with each other, talking about stuff.
people want a lot from you as well as me as well as whoever. And if you're touring all year and you're playing these shows and you're on a bus and you're going in an arena and out of arena, you're not like living these things that you can write about. And when you're a writer, it like bothers you a lot because you're like, oh man, like I have an album coming out soon and I'm like, damn man, I hope it's good enough because I've been fucking touring for 3 years because I haven't gotten to live the things that I want to write about.
Yeah.
Like those amazing songs that people want. It takes like experience in this life. It takes
Right.
living,
Yeah.
which is such a paradox because it sucks because you want to be playing the songs you've written in the past, but you also want to be writing the songs you have in the future. You know, it's nuts.
Well, I mean, your songs in the past are always going to have, but it's when there's an exciting artist like yourself, and I'm a fan. I think you're awesome.
Thank you, Joe.
And when I listen to your music, I'm like, this motherfucker could write songs like this for forever. There's certain people that, it's like Dave Attell, like my friend Dave Attell. Dave Attell can write funny jokes forever. Forever. When he dies, he will be funny the day he dies.
But is he funny because he's relatable?
No, he's just awesome. He's just so good. He's so polished, and he's the most underappreciated stand-up of our generation.
I feel like an asshole for not knowing him.
He's so fucking funny, man. He's so good. He's hilarious.
Is he at the mothership ever?
Yeah, he's been. He's in New York most of the time. That's where he lives. But he's a legend, like a comedy legend, and a legend amongst comedians, like universally loved amongst comedians. And he just fucking, I would never imagine a time where that guy's not going to come up with something funny to say.
No shit.
It's not going to exist. Just like you. I'm not going to imagine a time where unless you fall apart on us.
Yeah.
Keep it
it's
together,
a non-existent fear. I remember when it all I fucking hope so, man.
Keep it together,
you
bro.
too. Well, you're on the other side of it. Like, you had to have times in your life where you, like in fame, I don't know.
Bro,
man.
every day. I'm like, keep it together, bitch.
You got to do
every
it.
Day.
And that's why you're getting that fucking cold plunge,
That's why I
man.
do all that torturous shit I do to myself. I'm doing it because I'm smart. I know what I'm doing.
Bro, you've inserted yourself into everyone's head every morning, and it's infuriating, bro. Every time I wake up, I'm like, fuck, dude.
Gotta go.
I bet Joe's doing some shit right now, man.
Yeah, and I think that too. I do. I do it for myself. Like, I do it anyway. But I do think, imagine if people were watching you and making sure you're not half-assing this.
That's another thing about me and you, I guess. But like, you got to keep going.
Got to keep going.
You can't stop, even if it sucks. That's a crazy thing to think about. Like along your journey, no matter what, if it's bad or not, if your jokes are bad, if my songs are bad,
yeah,
you have to write the bad jokes and you have to write the bad songs and you have to keep going, because if you don't, you're never gonna write the good one.
Sometimes I would imagine like I've had bad jokes that like I was like, I can't figure out what to do with this. I have an idea, but it's just too clunky. And then like 2 years later, I revisit it.
Oh, yeah.
And now I have a new premise that ties in with it. I'm like, oh yeah, oh my God, it slips like a glove.
It makes sense.
Perfect.
That's what writing songs is like too, because like fucking you write like 3 lines.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
2
gonna
years
say.
later.
Like, do you have times where you write a song and you don't like it, but then you come back and you have new ideas, and then something from that song?
So many. That's how all songs for me are written, at least. Yeah. Unless, except like a few of them. Like the huge. Here's what's interesting to think about. I don't want to say huge, coming on an ass, but like the big ones that I've written, the ones that were like successful, they were always like 2-minute songs that I like sat down and like just fucking jotted, and then did a video, and then people loved them, and I was like, shit, man. But
Dude.
the ones I think about a lot, the ones that I write, they're always like, no one really cares about them, you know? It's funny. I'm like, fuck, man. Maybe I should just like get drunk and write really fast.
I think Sturgill Simpson said that about "You Can Have the Crown." Like that one song. I fucking love that song.
Sturgill's so good, man. What a hero, man.
Fucking man.
He's the fucking best, dude.
Bro,
all those guys
He's
are.
off the grid now, living on an island.
Good for him. Yeah, I look
that
at
motherfucker doesn't play.
Bro, I follow a fucking Instagram called Where Is Sturgill Simpson. You follow that one too? And it's just like random shit he's doing. And I'm like,
I just wait for text messages.
He's one of those guys you like. You just watch him exist, and you're like, man, that's
I love him to death.
I wish I could meet him or whatever. But he's such
dude,
a
I will
legend.
hook it up if he's in town. If he comes visit,
Sometimes I feel
I'll hook
bad
it up.
because, like I said, I know like 3 chords and shit, and Sturgill's writing songs about like metaphysics and all that. You're
Well,
like,
you know, Sturgill was.
Yeah, that one.
Where
That's the one, bro.
fuck is
Go down, bro.
Sturgill
It's so
Simpson?
funny.
Yeah.
There's all these fucking crazy pictures of him with puppies and shit.
He's a wild bro.
He's such a man's man, bro.
I love him to death.
Yeah, me too.
Love that dude to death.
I'm so curious about him, man.
When I first had him on the podcast, I had heard there's a psychedelic country guy. And I listened to like a couple of his songs, then had him on the podcast, and I was like, I wonder if this guy's going to want to play music. Give me one of those. I wonder if this guy's going to play music. I wonder if he's going to just want to hang out. And we just fucking smoke weed and talk shit. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I can't smoke pot, man.
But you can. It's totally possible.
I guess, yeah. I hate to sound like a bitch.
Do you get paranoid?
We smoke a lot of pot. Well, I used to smoke a lot of pot. Well, after I got out of the Navy, obviously, I was like, okay, I got to do it now. Because I didn't smoke. I didn't do drugs for like 9 years.
Right. 'Cause you
Obviously.
tested.
Like every day in the Navy.
Right.
And I didn't like even know it was a thing. And then my buddy JR, he smokes quite a bit. And there's nothing wrong with it. But, man, I lived in New York for a little bit. And one night I got some gas station marijuana.
Gas station
from
marijuana.
a fucking like corner stop. And I like smoked it. And I was on this like scaffolding thing in New York, like looking at the stars. And I thought everything was fine. And then all of a sudden my world collapsed. which is such a
Paranoia?
bitch thing to say. I don't really know. I thought my fucking body was collapsing, and I thought, it's crazy. Like, it was like a positive feedback loop in my head, and I was like, oh man, my body's collapsing. I'm fucked. And I called my sister. My dog's running around the apartment. I'm like taking my shirt off, bro. My dog's running around with me. I'm like, you got to stay on the phone with me. I can't do it.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
So many people have had that experience.
But yeah, I know. And it's like, you just got to do it enough to do it. But I don't really there's never been a part of my life where I wanted to do it enough to get to the point where I was okay with it.
You definitely don't have to.
And I take like 2 hits with the guys out there and shit. Like, it's no big deal.
Well, there you go. That's all you need.
But every time I think it's a different thing. I'm like, okay, this is the time I'm going to fucking
No,
lose my mind.
You just went way too deep.
You do mushrooms?
Occasionally,
Yo.
I've been known
to do some mushrooms.
Yeah,
I love shrooms a lot.
I think they should be not just legal, but we should have centers where people who are educated in the right dosage and the right, for whatever it is for a person, if you want to achieve a certain thing, and they should have like screenings and like mental health screenings for people, and then they should have guided psychedelic experiences, and I think it would make the world a better place.
Don't they do that shit with like Klonopin or something?
I don't know.
No,
but
ketamine.
I don't think it's ketamine. They definitely do it with ketamine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's for everybody. It's not for everybody. I don't think anything's for everybody. I think there are some people that have psychological problems, and they shouldn't do anything that perturbs their normal state of consciousness.
Wow.
I've heard that said by experts, so I'm just repeating that, and I agree with it because it makes sense to me. But for a lot of people, having a psychedelic experience where you get to see yourself outside of yourself is very beneficial.
That freaks me out when you talk about like DMT and things like that, even on the show.
Yeah.
I hear you talk about stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, how the fuck does someone just do that to themselves? Not in a bad way. I mean that in like a trip way. Or like if you were to do something like that, I got a funny story to tell you. But I have that fear in me that's like, man, what if it goes wrong?
Yeah, what if you never come back?
Exactly.
Like we've all heard about, was it Keith Moon? Who was it in, who was like the first guy that they said went cuckoo from acid? It was the dude from Pink Floyd, right?
No way.
What's that?
That's the guy. Ken Kesey's like the.
Ken Kesey was like the father of the psychedelic movement. He was one of the fathers of the psychedelic movement.
I bet back in the day it wasn't as
Sid Barrett?
it probably wasn't as good.
Sid Barrett, right? Sid Barrett was the Pink Floyd guy, right? And he went crazy from LSD.
Yeah.
But didn't someone else go crazy as well?
Says Sid Barrett is one of the most tragic stories in rock and roll.
What do you mean go crazy?
Sometimes, well, Howard Stern talked about this once too. He said that he took a lot of acid one time and he was really fucked up for a long time, and he's really scared that he wasn't going to come back. Because there have been times where people have had, whether it's LSD or some mind-altering substance, that for whatever reason that we don't totally understand, they fucking go and never come back.
That's so weird.
Brian
Like, why
Wilson,
would you
is that
ever
who you're
do
thinking of?
something like that?
Maybe it was Brian Wilson. Did he go crazy from...
No disrespect to anyone.
That sounds as an interesting album.
Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he the guy that was also tied up with Manson? He was tied up with the Manson family.
Well, that's what he was going.
Right.
Manson wanted to make music with him, and he was trying to force him to like do it.
Right. So that's probably why he was doing all that acid.
And he made him do acid?
Because Manson was doing acid.
Well,
And Manson was, dude, Manson, for the millionth time, I'll talk about this.
From
How
the
Charles
Beach Boys?
Manson ruined Dennis Wilson's life. Oh, it's
his brother.
Brother of Brian Wilson.
Never went to Dare.
So Dennis Wilson was like the guy who was going to manage him, right, or something like that.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like that's he was looking for his house, I think.
But the Manson family most likely was like a CIA project. Most likely it was a project of MK Ultra. And it's documented by this guy, Tom O'Neill, in this book called Chaos. It's an amazing book that talks about the CIA's LSD program. They were dosing people all over the place with LSD. They had a thing called Operation Midnight Climax, where they would go to a brothel and they would have 3D or see-through mirrors so they could see through and watch the Johns. And the prostitute would give the John a drink that was laced with acid. So this guy would take this drink and just fucking trip balls, and they would monitor them, and they would talk to them. And then they did a bunch of different things where they had the LSD studies that they did out of Harvard that actually created, most likely, was a factor in creating Ted Kaczynski, because the Unabomber was a part of those LSD studies. And then
this reminds me of Pineapple Express.
While he was tripping balls, was thinking that technology is going to kill all the people. So he has to kill the people that are making technology. And by the way, I'm not condoning what he did, but it's logical.
Yeah.
It's logical. That's an episode of Black Mirror. It's logical. It seems like it would be an episode of Black Mirror where the computers become far more intelligent than human beings, and they have no use for them anymore. And in fact, they find human beings to be a problem. Like that's the idea, that you're going to create a new life form that's far more intelligent than you.
I'm going to sound
and
dumb.
that technology is going to take over people.
You think it's no way? Me and Danny talk about it all the time.
Well,
no one knows who Danny
people
is.
smarter than me don't think it's going to happen. Like Mark Andreessen.
I feel that way, and I'm not smart at all. Sometimes we talk about it, and I'm like, dude, there's no way in hell that people let things get that far to where.
I don't think we have a chance. I don't think we have a chance.
Against,
I think
against it or for it to happen?
This is the problem. And I'm not saying that capitalism is a bad thing. But when corporations are primarily around to make money, and they have an obligation to their stakeholders, they're always going to make money. If this new frontier is opening up, and it's called artificial intelligence, and you're a part of that, and you start making money doing that, that fucking train is on the tracks, baby, and there's no brakes. Whee! You're not going to stop them from making art. They already got Chat GPT that can have fucking conversations with you, right?
Yeah.
And can diagnose illnesses and tell you how to fix your car.
I have this problem where I believe in humanity, though.
I do too.
No, not that you don't. I wasn't like inducing that. I was just saying that.
I'm just a realist.
Yeah, but that's just a little crazy.
Listen, man, they're not going to stop making it. So if they're not going to stop making it, where's it going to go? It's going to go to a life form. It's just a matter of how much time does it take. I don't understand the technology, so I can't say that it's 50 years from now or 100 years from now or 5 weeks from now. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but they're going to be able to create a life form.
Wow. They already, dude.
It's just going to be.
This is what I don't understand. You see, sorry for interrupting.
No, please.
This is what I don't understand. You see those videos, you've been seeing them for like 5 years of like those weird like robotic heads talking that look like real faces and things like that. And this is really
robotic
elementary.
Heads.
I just mean like those weird bald mannequin looking heads who are
Okay, like
communicating
iRobot looking.
the AI looking things.
Right,
That's been
right.
happening for 5 years.
Oh yeah.
When's like what everyone's scared of gonna?
Well, they've got some pretty sophisticated ones out of, I believe, Japan now.
Oh, there's Whitney and her robot.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were just pulling up pictures of girls, man. I was like, what the hell?
That's my friend Whitney Cummings, and that's her robot. So Whitney Cummings' robot can like talk and say things, and she has it say jokes.
That's a fucking nightmare.
It's hilarious.
Not Whitney Cummings twice, but
Right.
like the fact that there's a robot.
Well, she thinks it's hilarious. She's got
That's so scary.
a ton of inappropriate jokes about
The
that
robot does?
No, she puts them in the robot's face. But
She's holding its face.
Yeah, she took its head off. Yeah. Well, this is like very rudimentary, like that kind of robot.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that. It's like I feel like everything you've seen online when it comes to AI and things like that, it's all, which is even scarier because who do you know? Like what's going on somewhere else when it comes to AI and things like that?
I think what we're learning from like Chat GPT is that just from scouring the internet, you could have a program that's so powerful that it could answer any question you have in very complex ways, in paragraph after paragraph.
This has been interesting in the music industry because people fucking every day, man, 20 people send me a song by an AI bot that I wrote. And it's almost insulting because like I see the songs and it's like, it's crazy to see the lyrics that these AI bots come up with. I'm like, man, I gotta write fucking better songs. Cause you see it, I'm like, man, I wrote that to this AI bot and it scares the shit out of me. But I'm also like when I think in my head and like think about what I can write personally from my heart, I'm like, there's no way AI is ever.
It's not going to be able to replicate what your lived, felt experiences can convey in a creative way.
Which I think people are smarter than people think. And I think that'll always reign supreme.
But I think it's going to make some hits.
Yeah, there was like a bunch of. There was like a bunch
that Drake
of,
song.
Yeah, I was going to mention it, but I didn't want to. Like, it was huge.
Apparently it was huge.
Yeah.
Look, it's going to make some hits. And that's not against Drake.
That's
Drake can still make hits too, but AI can make Drake hits. And that's what's crazy. It's like when you get to a certain point, like if you have a certain style of music, like I wonder if it can do jazz. I don't really have a real understanding of jazz.
I feel like it would be easier to do jazz than write. This is not an insult towards jazz musicians. I respect them. I feel like it could do jazz well because it has so many notes and perfect like slides and things to go off of. When it comes to like songwriting, it might be a little different.
Imagine if it did jazz better than the jazz musicians and everybody got mad.
That'd be crazy. Oh, jazz musicians would be pissed.
They'd be so mad.
They'd be so mad, man. There'd be a bunch of fucking breweries just up in flames.
You go into some independent coffee shop.
And they're just
in
all
Austin,
pissed.
and there's jazz playing,
Some fucking
but
dude.
it's AI jazz, but it's amazing. And you're like, oh my god, because if AI is that smart,
There's some dude with a bass just fucking pissed.
Right. If you think about what, like, they say, I don't know anything about music. Let me just say this real quick. But they say that every note is apparently been played, like all of them, right?
Yes. Okay. I don't know if this is true, but Bach. I don't know anything about music either. But Bach, when
Isn't this AI then?
Isn't that a program?
Jamie, you're freaking me out.
But
man.
no, that's
the same thing.
No,
That's the same thing.
no. That's a program. Those pieces of paper or those holes in that paper or whatever the fuck that thing is, that scroll.
I know.
But what's artificial intelligence, right?
That's the same thing. You're feeding it a bunch of shit to then recreate
Yeah.
without a person.
Yeah, but it's not growing. I
That's
think
mechanical,
it's not
bro.
growing.
That's
like it
mechanical.
It doesn't grow inside itself.
Semantics.
That's why AI is fucking scary.
That's like saying an automatic watch is artificial
or like
intelligence.
factories are artificial intelligence.
Because all the gears are spinning and ticking and keeping perfect time. No, that's mechanical. That's engineering.
You know what?
Have some respect for
I'm with
engineering.
him, man.
That's what I feel like. That's what Andreessen was sort of saying. Like it's just like reading off of the internet, sort of, and saying words that sort of to us makes sense.
Sure,
like,
for now.
But yeah, that's,
did you
but
guys
that's
see
the thing
Ex
people have been
Machina?
saying
Jesus
forever,
Christ.
though. Did you see the Black Mirror episode?
With
the AI and the likeness thing, and they can steal your likeness and they
I think I
create.
saw that one. Did I see that one? Maybe I didn't.
And the TikTok fucking
I don't
things
wanna-
are.
I'm not saying this exactly. This has just been around for 150 years, and it's very close to. This replaced a piano player, from the Wild Wild West.
But it'll always play the exact same thing.
Yeah, and it sounds the exact same every time you play.
Oh, so they have in the Wild Wild West. They would
This
have
is
that.
old as shit. Yeah, these are really old.
See, that's what I'm trying to say about people. They keep saying that.
Sounds like someone's playing it.
That sounds like a place where someone's getting shot, right?
How did they make that? When did you say it, Ken?
These are old. I don't know when they were first invented, but these are not new and they're old.
Got to get one of them, man. Alarm clock.
We should have one of those in the studio.
Got to.
See, that's not,
Bro. How much do you think one of those costs?
A player piano.
Right now?
We should have one in the studio.
What's a player piano? Is that what it's
That
called?
thing.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Like, there's a play. Like they act because
We should get one of them old ones.
supposedly a player.
It'd be dope just to have around
Up
just
to
for the
50K,
vibes.
as little as $2,000.
Put it in here, man.
Oh.
So next time this comes up, you can
just play it. And there's
have
no
it
room
play.
in here. We have the perfect amount of things that are in here. We have no room in here, but out there
It's
we have
beautiful.
room. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. I'm scared of artificial intelligence. I'm scared of all of it because I think human beings are going to become obsolete. And I think we either are going to merge with technology, which we're kind of already doing. Elon always points out that we're already a cyborg. We just hold our phone.
Yeah, that's
But
what
you're connected with it in a very, very strange way.
you can't exist without it now.
It's hard to. You can, for sure. A lot of people do. Christopher Nolan apparently does. Apparently he doesn't have email, nothing. You got to talk to him.
And you aspire for that sometimes. Like in your head, you
Sometimes, but first of all, I like the distraction of my phone sometimes. If I'm bored, I like to sit and watch like pool matches on YouTube.
Agreed.
I like to watch fights if I find out about fights. And like I get to watch like results. I get to watch things that maybe I'd missed, like on other organizations outside the UFC. I can watch them on my phone.
I wonder why you're so. Yeah, I wonder why people are so. I personally, like the age that I'm at, you're older than me, but like I feel ashamed of
your phone use?
Looking at my phone so much.
Yeah.
And I think that might be like an immaturity thing. You know what I mean? Where I can't monitor myself, and I like just. Bro, I tweet
addictive.
some heinous shit.
Do you?
I tweet some crazy shit. People are always like, "Man, what's going on?" And I'm literally just like, it's like 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm like, "Man, fuck it," And I just get on, and I'll wake up the next day, and people are like, "Hey, man, you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a song lyric or something." Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. I like doing it. It's like I said, I haven't talked to someone like this in so long that like my fucking crazy tweets are the only thing that people know me by, and I'm like, man, I gotta clear some air, bro. It's so crazy.
Do you think about not tweeting sometimes? Like it's not worth it?
I actually recently deleted my Twitter. I go through these phases where I'm like, I do it so much, then I'm like, man, get off of here for a second.
I don't know how the fuck Elon does it.
I have that stuff. Yeah, dude, he changed the world today. He like made it X, right?
Yeah, it's X now officially.
You tweet ever? I don't.
Yeah,
you have a Twitter?
occasionally. I read things more than I post things.
Do you run your own Twitter?
Yeah, but I don't want to engage with anybody. You know, like these back and forths that people have with people. Like, I am so not interested in doing that.
There's something in me where people respond. I'm like,
No, it's not like fans responding.
Oh, I see.
It's people get into conflicts on Twitter, and I think that's ridiculous. I think it's the worst way to communicate.
It bothers me a lot.
And I think I see some people, all they do is just lash out at people, and that is a hurt person. That's what that is. That's all it is. It's like, it's not a healthy way to live your life.
But you have to empathize a little bit inside yourself, too, with those people. Because sometimes people tweet at me, and I'm like, hey, man. But I don't tweet back ever. I always control myself. Most of the time, I'm not.
Yeah,
don't quote me on that. But
I have friends that tell me about tweets that they read.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm thinking about fucking telling that guy to fuck off, and I'm like, come on, man, stop reading that shit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that much, I don't think, at the grain.
But it is interesting to read all these different people's opinions and thoughts. I do love that about Twitter, that you'll get like these hardcore leftist perspectives and hardcore right-wing perspectives, and I think as much as it makes people uncomfortable, you have to have a place where everybody gets to talk it out. Everybody gets to talk.
And it's beautiful.
Loony people that think that fucking nuclear bombs aren't real. Do you know that's a big one that's going around the internet
Nuclear bombs
now?
are not real?
Yeah, nuclear bombs are hoaxes. It's a hoax.
Okay.
That's the latest.
Oppenheimer was bullshit, man.
It's semi-connected, I think, to flat Earth.
Let's go.
I think it's
Get those guys together, man.
semi-connected to dinosaurs aren't real. There's like a three-pronged attack of idiocy.
That's crazy.
What's their main reasoning behind nuclear bombs?
Well, I just think they're big bombs, just
big
nuclear.
bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like some Twitter thread I was reading where they were talking about how nuclear bombs have to be fake because Hiroshima and Nagasaki don't have any nuclear fallout. I'm like, what the fuck?
I've been there. When I was a kid, I saw the museum, bro. Dude, if you're a little kid and you're walking through...
I seriously wonder how many of these people that are having these conversations online are like Russian agents or they're feds or they're like somebody who's just designed to make people stupider.
I should worry about the same thing now. Everyone who tweets at me is a Russian agent, bro. I'm saving the world,
I fucking
baby.
seriously wonder. Because you remember when free bleeding was a thing on 4chan and they talked some feminists into not wearing tampons and just bleeding in their pants as a sign of empowerment? I wasn't a part of this movement, no. Free bleeding. But it became, people actually did it. Some people actually did it.
It was like a troll?
But it was a troll at first. And I think a lot of these things, whether it's flat earth or whether it's nuclear bombs aren't real, I think it's a lot of crazy people and a lot of people that watch too many YouTube videos. But I also think some of it has to be someone that's like monkeying with people's ideas, like throwing preposterous ideas that are well articulated out there to get people to believe in nonsense and then argue about it.
When we did the Ticketmaster stuff and we made it a big deal, my managers, they came to me like, hey man, you got to be ready for bots and things online to manipulate how you're feeling and make you respond in a way where...
Well, also manipulate the conversation about you.
And you get upset.
It's not just manipulate how you feel. It's manipulate how the people that are like, maybe someone doesn't know how to feel about what you did. And they're like, I think he's doing it for us. And then you go and read on Twitter, that guy's a selfish piece of shit, that guy this, that guy that. You're reading all these horrible takes that might not even be real.
People.
They might not be people. Or they might be engineered by people through multiple fucking sock puppet accounts.
If you go to like a famous person's like Twitter and things like that, you can look at who's following in them and like... if you like scroll down, like this is fucking psychotic that I know this. I don't do this myself. I just know from talking to people and things. If you like scroll down, you can see like just fucking like hundreds and hundreds of bots and stuff like that. Who are just tweeting crazy shit, but their accounts aren't really like 3 people follow them and they're following like 600 people and all the 600 are like famous people and they're either saying like nice shit or mean shit and you're like, this is weird.
It's weird.
What's going on, man?
It's anytime there's culture war stuff. Like anytime there's stuff about like trans rights or anytime there's stuff about Ukraine war, like these anytime there's an abortion debate, you will read these comments. I will go through the that one's a big one. The Roe v. Wade one's a big one. If you go through those comments and you read them, some of the people, you look at their page, like I'll read like some preposterous take on things, and then I go and read their page. I'm like, oh, this isn't even a person.
Yeah, and it's a lot of times it's in politics and shit like that.
Yes.
When I said that shit about like whatever Bud Light, because my fucking sister's spouse is transgender, I hired a security guy for a second. I was like, man, this is crazy.
People are mad at you.
Yeah, not being a bitch either. I was like, man, it's kind of scary, bro. I live in a city. I don't want people to come for me. Because a lot of people were pissed.
It's such a dumb reason to get mad.
I woke up on a Saturday, bro, and I had a dude tell me I was like a Nazi and a mutilator on my Twitter. And I was like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? It was psychotic. It was crazy.
Well, there are some people that feel like supporting that idea is going to make more people try it. And it's going to make more people regret having gone through transition. And so they really highlight detransitioners. So like people have one side or the other side. They either look at it like it's only a good thing to live your truth and to be trans, like you should get on hormone blockers as early as you can. And that's what that person, that's the Secretary of Health. Who's that person? The Secretary of Health that used to be Rachel Levine, right? That's it is. Was saying like, what if you're going through puberty, but it's the wrong puberty? Like, what if you're going through puberty and it's painful for you because it's not you? I'm like, look, you're still a child. Like the idea that for ideology, we're going to abandon this thing that we have always known, which is that children are very impressionable and very malleable, and that they can be manipulated, and that also they can change their minds. And there is a ton of stories about girls who were tomboys when they were younger and just became regular women.
It's weird.
And there's also tons of stories about guys who were feminine when they were growing up and they became gay men. And some of my gay friends feel like this idea that like those people should become trans is probably homophobic, and that someone encouraging them to become trans, if that's the case, is homophobic. And
but as a human being, you only have one. Sorry.
I was going to say, because he was saying that, and this is true, that in Iran, I believe, they have like a large amount of transgender women. And the reason being is that homosexuality is illegal there.
Yes, it's strange.
So because it's illegal, the way they get around that is some of these men become trans.
Whoa.
Which is wild.
I've seen, like, in the Middle East, there's a weird, I don't know anything, like, actually, but in the Middle East, there's a weird feeling around it. Like, if you're walking around, because I was in Bahrain and things like that, and you'll go out in town, and there's like a femininity to, like, a lot of the guys, and you're like, oh, that's kind of...
Listen, there's a certain percentage of guys who are gay in all of the world.
Yeah, of course.
It's just a part of being a person.
And that's what, like, a lot of this stuff that came out about the whole, like, transgender thing with me, I'm not defending anything either. I don't care. My sister is gay, and she married a transgender person, and they're both close to my heart. And all I know as a human being and a man is to like love them because they're my family.
Of course.
And that's it. Like I don't give it. Like I don't care what anyone is doing. I don't care if you support the kid thing or not. I just love them, and that's what being a human being is knowing your own perspective and working from there. And I didn't realize it was going to start such a battle defending someone that I love so much, you know, because they're such a funny, amazing person to me that I've spent so much time with, and I have utmost trust in and respect for. And that is my picture in my head of a transgender person.
Well,
so I don't have the perspective.
All people should be looked at as individuals
and respected.
And individuals are what we should concentrate on. Like, but the problem is, everything's so tribal today.
Oh yeah.
That's why this Bud Light thing went so bonkers. Because the people that enjoy Bud Light are completely the opposite tribe for the most part. Well, I think a large number of them than the tribe that's into following Dylan Mulvaney.
I've never cared about anything that my entire life. How these fucking people care so much about it, and I'm like, dude, you guys are.
They felt like it was taking over their thing. It's like if Fox News went all gay. If Fox News just became the gay news, and they're like, no,
we can't do it.
And every anchor was gay, and they talked about everything from a gay perspective.
So
no
much
matter what,
hate, man.
You know, like let's look at gays in Ukraine, and you know, like no matter what it is, let's look at it from a gay. People would go crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine waking up with that much on your heart.
So I think that's what people felt like was happening with the Bud Light can.
And what like bothered me a lot, it was like I empathize, like I see both sides, and like people think I didn't. I was like, oh man, I get it, man, I understand both of these realms of people. I'm like,
the problem is people like take it serious forever. Like they've been Bud Light drinkers for fucking 30 years,
and they'll die on this hill, man.
And all of a sudden, like now, fuck Bud Light forever.
Yeah, I don't care, man. And you just see Modelo cans everywhere, bro. You go to a show and there's fucking Modelo everywhere. And you know what makes me mad is I've drank Bud Light so long, and it's such a great beer, and I can't even drink it. Like, people fucking look at you weird, and I'm like, bro, I don't... I'm out of all of this. I just want to drink a Budweiser, bro.
I was
You
reading
suck.
about this bar owner that stopped selling it because people were beating people up that were buying it.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
I can't imagine buying imagine buying a Bud Light one day and just getting decked on the face for no. It's just a beer. It's just a beer.
You
man.
fucking leftist.
You suck. You
Yeah,
should die,
you're
man.
everything that's wrong with this fucking country. You're
Fuck
supporting
you,
that pussy.
man.
That's how this shit is gonna fucking take over. You gotta punish these people.
Look at this American flag I'm on.
The thing that's going on though is people are getting fired. Like regular folks that work in breweries are getting fired because the demand is down. So as the demand is down, the production is down. The production is down, jobs are down, and that's an unintended consequence.
You were talking about that earlier before we got on here, and you were saying they were down like fuck the market cap or whatever. Is just
Let's
crazy.
see what the number is. Like, what is?
I've been checking the stock every day, but I guess I
it's
just
more
don't know
than
anything.
20 billion. They've lost more than $20 billion.
You don't smoke cigarettes in here, do you?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Sure?
Yeah, we got a fan.
Right,
It sucks the cigarettes out because we smoke cigars in here. And
Don't smoke,
weed.
man. Don't smoke, man.
They lost a ton of money. The point is, it's not good. It's real bad. And it's who the fuck saw that coming? Who thought that people were going to be that upset?
That's what blows my mind is that so many people
touch my lips.
You don't hear a lot of stories where the population can actually control a company's
right
share price and thing. And dude, there's a part of me, like the humorous part of me, where I'm like, holy shit. Good job, guys, man. You fucking killed it, but it's so wrong.
They
like
definitely can if they have a point. Bud Light sales down by 27.1%.
I don't even know what started it. Is what's funny. I saw, dude, I got on Twitter one day just like everyone else and out of context responded to somebody and everyone hated me all of a sudden. I was like, holy shit.
I think what they're saying was just find out what the market cap loss was because that was the big. Just Google Anheuser-Busch market cap loss 21 billion. Google that.
That's heinous.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
What does it say here?
But there's no way that
27 billion. Bud Light maker Anheuser-Busch InBev has lost a whopping $27 billion in market value in the wake of his star-crossed partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. Most recently slammed by a 4% stock drop this week. That's June 2nd. So that's more than a month ago.
This is the July 4th. It says is $6 billion. It's different.
What is it? Is that 60 billion or 6?
How do you hate something that much, man?
6 billion. Oh, I was looking at all the zeros with
I don't know.
How do they have all those zeros with no fucking commas? That's rude.
I was in like
Look
an
at all those
emotional.
zeros. Isn't that ridiculous?
I was in a pretty weird place when all this stuff happened too, because there was like a shooting in Colorado or something where some guy he like ran into a transgender bar or something, a gay bar or something, and just killed a few people, and it was crazy. My sister was really emotional about it because she's gay. And when all this
Wasn't that like a non-binary person too?
that was the tech. I don't know what that was.
That was a crazy one because that was the son, I think, of a guy who was a former guy, a guy who was an MMA fighter.
Wait, which
who
one?
was also a porn star.
The bar?
Yeah.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah.
Terrifying. My sister was really, really up in arms, but she was really emotional about it. And she's my best friend in the world. I would do anything, just like you would probably. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a sister.
And she's my best friend, no matter what. Like
That's awesome.
Thick and thin. But that's why I
I
defended
love my
it.
sister too. She's awesome.
Exactly, and you would defend her to the bits.
Right,
bitter
but
end.
so this is like some just really ill person who went into a bar and started shooting people. But I don't know like what the motivation was. But
I don't either. And my sister was saying that like they were she was under attack and things, and I'm like, I just didn't like as a younger guy, I just both ends of it.
Because she felt like it was an attack on gay people.
Exactly, and I talked with her about it like as just a normal person. I'm like, is it an attack on your people, or is it an individualized event that's terrible
Right.
and heartbreaking and things like that? And
I
so
think
when all
it's
this,
that because I think that person, like I said, I think that person was a member of the LBGT. I'm pretty sure.
people are just scared, man, and that's so shitty.
Or something along those lines. But either way, it's a human being doing something evil to a bunch of other human beings, and it's crazy. how
Times
often
now
it
are
happens.
crazy, man.
It's wild.
Do you think it was like this when like when you were younger, were things as like polarizing?
No.
What do you think changed things?
Well, for one, the communication. for one, social media has exacerbated the gap, has like made us more divided, I think, than ever before, because people huddle up in these like echo chambers.
You think it made things better at all?
It made access to information better. It made people more informed, but it's difficult to navigate those waters, and not everybody's going to do it. Some people are going to crash on the rocks, and I think that it's a new thing that people are trying to navigate. I think there's a lot of people that are horribly addicted to it, and they're just constantly involved in these interactions with other people, and most of them are feuds and disagreements, and they're trying to one-up each other and trying to like post facts and dunk on people. And so,
I always question validity of artists and things now. Like, do you think people are better for it or worse for it when it comes to talent? Like, does the cream rise to the top faster now, or does it just make everyone great? I don't know how to word this.
Make everyone great how? What do you mean?
Myself, when I started putting videos on Twitter and things like that, I wouldn't have been discovered in the 70s because I would have just been playing guitar around a fire. Do you think, and I don't mean this for my own ego, I'm just saying in general, do you think people are more talented for it because they have to compete with millions and millions of people now? Or do you think people are less talented for it because millions and millions of people are getting famous?
I think in general, the talented people of today, like every other generation with every other kind of art form and even most sports, the generations as they progress, they have the benefit of learning from the previous generation. So we all imitate each other, whether it's like Mike Tyson imitating Jack Dempsey's style or Stevie Ray Vaughan imitating Jimi Hendrix style. We all learn from our predecessors. And when you have access to all of the predecessors, which is what you have today, you're going to get an insane amount of talented people. There's always going to be certain, like the idea that everyone's going to be soft and society's soft and no one today could do that. No, there's still people that can do it. They're going to rise. They're always going to be here. There's always going to be exceptional human beings. There's people that are driven to do things, just like that guy was driven to climb fucking mountains. Some people are driven to make great music. They're driven to write good books or great books. They're driven to make great films. The people are always going to be driven, and they have the benefit of having seen, Apocalypse Now and having listened to the White Album. And there's so much that people can absorb, so much greatness and so much. If you were an artist in the 1800s, like how much impact did you get from other artists?
Because you wouldn't know that much, right?
Did you ever hear Caribbean music? Did you? Have you ever? There was no hip hop, so you're not hearing that.
Human beings are just inspired by other people.
100%.
And now we're all just inspired by each other, so we're making better things.
If you use your brain wisely, that's the key. If you use your brain wisely, you can be constantly inspired and enjoy all these people. Or if you use your brain like a fool, you'll be embroiled in conflict constantly. All the time.
And always fucking arguing.
Yeah. It's not good.
Waking up angry.
And having the least charitable view of every person you talk about.
Got to be the worst life, man.
It's not a good life. It's not good for you. It's just not. And people don't realize it because they feel that they're just ignored, or this is the way they get attention, or whatever it is. It's just a super unhealthy way to interact. And I see people doing it on Twitter that are my friends, and I'm like, bro, you're killing yourself. Like you're giving yourself stress levels from being in these constant Twitter battles with
people. You're distracting yourself too. I think being in the Navy and things like that, it always scared me because we used to have chiefs and things talk about like the Chinese and the Russians and like everyone going to war and things like that. And I always would look at like the younger sailors and I'm like, oh man, sorry. Are we going to be okay if anything terrible happens?
Because these guys aren't paying attention.
Distracted. They're not like,
yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm tougher than anyone ever. I never will. I'm just saying when I joined the Navy, since I had like you were saying about artists, you're inspired by the people around you. So my dad and my fucking mom and my grandpa, they were all in the Navy and I was inspired to be in the Navy and like fucking fight for my country and shit like that. And I wonder now if people are like Forgotten Country-esque, like that kind of shit, like what the movies are about. Like that, like the wartime movies and things like that. There's no great war, like Fight Club said, Like I fear that if things were to happen, would people have that American spirit? Like that Empire State Building spirit that made things like so fucking legendary and like the pictures that you see of those guys climbing on the buildings.
Well, that's what the propaganda that we always get that says this is how China thinks about us and this is how Russia thinks about us. This is, like you always get that from a lot of like the hardcore right-wingers. That's what their perspective is that China and Russia are making fun of us while we are arguing about gender wars and whether or not, a trans woman can use the woman's bathroom and we're concentrating on these silly things about what is your pronoun. And meanwhile, they're trying to make people as manly as possible and they're trying to figure out a way to continue to feminize America. That's like the grand
That's insane
conspiracy.
But you see those like Chinese marching videos and things like that. And I say that with respect, but like
yeah, it's
you see all
gangster.
these like it's crazy. They're all like they're all in sync and things like that.
But some severe discipline. And there's also like there's a rejection of feminization there. They did something recently where they like outlawed boy bands.
Whoa.
What did they do?
Like BT. No, I'm not.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, like K-pop bands. I was reading this. I'm the worst at this. Where I'll like read a headline and I go, I got enough information.
I know now, man. I know it all now.
I read one paragraph in, and then I got distracted by a phone call.
But a lot of like
See if you can find that, Jamie. China banned.
I found an article
boy
from
bands.
2021 saying that.
No, it was a real recent
I know, but
thing.
this says the same thing.
Okay, China to ban sissy boy bands.
I want to know who quoted that. Like who
reality
said
talent
sissy
shows.
bands?
I don't know. Right. Is that a Chinese interpretation of a word?
There's not a guy on TV
Or
saying we got to ban
American
sissy
interpretation
bands.
of China? The state regulator is calling for a boycott of pop acts that don't conform to macho standards, as well as overly entertaining and vulgar internet celebrities and influencers.
That's crazy.
Get out now.
But do you think that's propaganda?
It's hard to say. I mean, we don't really know. Like we're just guessing, like they're guessing. Unless you can read Mandarin, unless you have boots on the ground over there, so you really know what's going on. Unless you know like exactly what's going on in terms of like how much censorship are they involved in? Really, how about that Face ID system? How often are they using it? Is that everywhere? The social credit score system, is that all real?
Whoa.
Like the central bank digital currency, is that all real? Where it's tied to the credit? Like what is this ubiquitous? Is it through the entire country? Is it what is this? Like what are we looking at? And it's hard to say because I'm sure there's propaganda that comes from both sides. I'm sure there's propaganda from them. There's propaganda from us. It's hard to say today, like what exactly is going on, but it seems like they are doing things, at least in some videos that I've watched, where they're that sort of technology where they were talking about with the ears in that cartoon. They're doing something similar, at least a test version of it with children in classes where they have this headgear on, and the headgear is monitoring whether or not the kids are paying attention.
I was taking I'm going to college right now, and I was taking a proctored exam the other day, and I was talking with my buddy about it, and he was saying that we might sound like idiots if this doesn't exist, but they were saying that like in the classrooms in like China and things like that, or whatever country, they have like video cameras that monitor where eyes are going.
That's what they were talking about in this thing.
That's
so these kids had these headsets on, and they were monitoring their faces to make sure that they weren't looking at their phones and they weren't looking somewhere else. And then this headgear they had on, it was indicating whether or not they were paying attention.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I guess there's like a different frequency.
But doesn't that make you a different person? Like when you're cheating in class as like
Right.
fourth grader, doesn't that make you resourceful?
It does a little.
That's why I believe in like the American. Like I'm conflicted in my own head because like all these. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But like a lot of right wingers and left wingers, I feel like they have like the wrong idea of what the American spirit is. But also on this hand, I'm like, America's the best country in the world. We got to figure it out. We're like. The American spirit is alive and well, and I think we'd be fine if it came down to it.
If we fall apart to totalitarianism, it's a giant blow to humanity. Because if totalitarian reaches a place that has the most freedom, and the problem with freedom is people are willing to give it up if it suits their side. And you're hearing this from people all the time. You used to hear it from people on the right, but now you're hearing it from people on the left, where they're willing to silence people's free speech if they think that what they're saying is dangerous. And you can't do that because no one gets to decide what's dangerous and what's not dangerous. Because if you allow people to, they keep moving that fucking goalpost, and then they'll silence you. And then if you're a liberal and you vote for this and you want this to happen, and then it gets in place, and then a Republican wins, and they use that same thing to stifle liberalism.
It's all competition.
Like, so this is the kids with the things in their head. And that green light is apparently, or one of the different color lights. White means you're offline.
They look so
that means
happy.
you're not paying attention.
This is a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, this is wild. And so they use facial recognition to make sure the kids are paying attention.
Who owns the Wall Street Journal?
Look at this facial recognition. I do not know. Look at their facial recognition. How wild is that?
That's what I was talking about with the proctored exam I was taking.
Yeah.
Imagine. But, dude, there's such a fine line between, like, safety and cheating and, like, is it good or bad?
Well, it's not cheating, but it definitely is enforcing concentration. So if the results are better, right? If they get better grades, is that worth it? To like completely give up freedom like that and to have a fucking headband on?
And then people don't rise to the top either. If they're great.
They probably still will. Because like even if you're paying attention, you might be just a dumbass. You know, whereas some people are paying attention and they have brilliant ideas. Like I think there's always going to be competition. Whether you're focusing or there's going to be more competition probably because more people will be forced to be disciplined. You know, they'll be forced to do the work as opposed to like fucking off and, you know, procrastinating. Which
yeah,
is
but
a lot
those
of people
people
have
do
a
amazing
tendency.
shit too. Like the shitty guys, man. In class, I was shitty.
Yeah,
man, I never had good. I was always shitty. Like teachers hated me.
And if you want good songs,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what, dude? And also, like I don't have kids yet. If your kid came home and was like, "Hey, I had this headband on today that was making sure I didn't look to the paper next to me," how would you feel about it?
Not good. I would not be into that. I would not allow that. I would find another school. I just think you have to have a certain amount of freedom, especially coming from a person like me who's a creative person. Like I do what I do didn't exist when I was a kid. It's a new thing, like to be able to podcast or stand up always existed, but that's also like it's a very creative thing. You
It's got to be
able
a
to
new thing
have
now.
freedom.
Yeah.
Podcasting is fairly new, right? It's like 20 years old. But stand up is, 100 years old or whatever it is. But like the most recent versions of it, you can't have that unless you have freedom of expression. You can't have it. It won't exist.
And you have
Chinese
to be able to...
primary school stops using headbands to study pupils' concentration levels after public outcry.
Oh, that's good.
Well, that's good.
That's a good
Well, that's good that there's public outcry.
This was 4 years ago this article got posted.
Interesting.
And it's weird that this video has been going around even recently.
Yeah, interesting. So
It's just people reciprocating information.
Yeah, well, the outcry probably just keeps continuing because people are terrified of that being the dystopian future, that we're all monitored constantly by Big Brother and that we give into it because we want a little bit of comfort, which is what's fucking scary. That's what's scary, that people taking advantage of bad situations. And, if there's something breaks out in this country, some kind of a war or something really scary, you have to be very careful of anybody whose solution is to take away your rights to protect you. Got to be very careful of that because that's what tyrants do. And they've always done things like that. Always.
And they have all the information.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing that's crazy. They have all your data. They have everything. They have your geo-tracking location. They know where you are constantly.
From the time you were a kid, for me at least. For me at least.
That thing on your fucking iPhone can track you, and you can decide to let your friends track you. Other people can track you too.
That's scary, man. That's freaky, bro.
That's fucking freaky.
I can't do it. And the internet's weird.
It's all weird, but so is this artificial intelligence thing that we're talking about, and then this UFO thing. Like, why is that like in the mainstream discussion so frequently today?
You think that it's a distraction from something?
I don't know, man.
Dude, aliens are real, right? That was decided?
Well, listen, I don't know. But I think it's very unlikely that we are the only consciousness in the universe, the only intelligent, conscious, communicating being other than like whales and orcas. So if that's the case, if there are things out there, it's very likely there's going to be many more than we can even imagine. And it's very likely they're going to be older than us. So they probably have figured things out. And if they evolved in a stable atmosphere in a place that doesn't have meteor showers slamming into it every few thousand years like Earth does. Maybe they got way further ahead of us very quickly. Maybe they didn't have to go through all the brutality. Maybe they never had dinosaurs. Maybe they didn't have to have an asteroid hit them to kill off the dinosaurs. Maybe they're like small lizard intelligence that evolved.
And they're way more advanced.
And they're way more advanced, like a million years more
But did you see
advanced
the
than
court?
us.
You saw the court case, right? Like
Yes.
The guy
I'm
being
very closely watching
the guy
this.
being like, "Yeah, man, we got aliens in the back, bro."
Well, he definitely didn't say it like that, but
sure?
he said that there are reports that indicate that there are biological entities that have stored in freezers that are of alien, some, whether it's interdimensional or from another planet, something very different. And they have crashed vehicles, not just one, but many as 12 crashed vehicles. And then there is a UFO crash retrieval program. And they believe that this program was probably what they used when they went to Brazil in, was it 96, the Varginha case?
That long ago.
There's a case in 1996 that James Fox did a great movie on called The Moment of Contact. And The Moment of Contact is all about this one town in Brazil where everyone was there when this UFO was over their city. Like everyone has a
Was
story.
there evidence, like with the videos and things of it?
Well, there's a guy who died who carried the body to a car. He carried the body to a car and they brought it to a hospital, and the hospital's like, get that fucking thing out of here. And they brought it to another hospital and they're like, get that
This
fucking thing out
happened?
of here. Yes. That's all documented. And then the guy who was a soldier who carried this alien being, that guy died of a horrible bacterial infection that they couldn't cure. They didn't know what the fuck it was. He died really quickly. Within 2 weeks he was dead.
No, man.
And he was a young, fit guy.
No way.
Yeah, so
That's scary.
They have a fucking giant, like, UFO monument in the middle of the city. Like, when you enter into the city in Varginha, there's a huge UFO there. And James Fox is like, he's filming all this and talking to these people. This guy who was he was a police officer that investigated the crash. When they brought him to the scene, they brought him to the woods, to the scene of where this thing supposedly crashed. The guy breaks down and starts crying. I mean, he's fucking weeping. So either he's the greatest actor in the world.
Why was he weeping? Because he was there?
Because he remembered that thing. He remembered seeing that crashed UFO. He remembered seeing this alien body. And these girls, they talked to these two girls that ran into one of the things that was still alive. And they described it. There's an actual statue of it that we have in the studio or in the comedy club.
Yo.
And that's them today. That's them when they were little girls, and that's them today. The whole town saw it, man. The whole town. Like, he kept interviewing people after people that talked about it, that were there. It's crazy.
What's he describing that stick for? I wonder what that's about.
I think he's probably describing the impact, how the thing slammed into the ground.
There
was a crazy lightning storm, apparently. And this thing fell in the crazy lightning storm. It got hit and disabled and crashed into the earth. And apparently, the Air Force sent something to retrieve it. So the Air Force flew into Varginha, Brazil, and that's all been documented by James Fox, too, that they did send a plane there to go retrieve this thing. And now that this guy's come forward, and then the government is allowing him to say it.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, so the government is allowing this guy to say they have a retrieval project. And this is all like they're allowing him to say these things.
I wonder why.
Well, he only can stay within the lines. Like, and you saw that during the testimony. There was multiple
careful he
questions.
was about it,
Yes,
like
there was
robotic
multiple
about it?
questions they had where he said, I can't answer that. I can answer it. What is it called in a skiff? Is that how they say it? So a skiff is like, the way I've been is explained to me, make sure this is right. It's like a completely soundproof room that has no electronics. Okay, here it is. A sensitive, compartmentalized information facility. It's an ultra-secure room where officials and government contractors take extraordinary precautions to review highly classified information. So they go into this like very, very protected room, and then they'll break out these laptops, and they'll break out these photographs and videos, and they'll show them like what these things are. They'll show them the biological entities. They'll show them the crashed UFOs. They'll show them the high-resolution videos of these things hovering over military bases. They'll show them all the reports of them shutting down all the nuclear systems. It's wild shit if it's true, but it doesn't feel true.
Why would it not feel true?
I don't know, because maybe if aliens are real, maybe if this disclosure is so real, maybe it's so mind-blowing that it just feels like nonsense to me. but something about it just feels a little fake.
You said the UFO thing happened in 96?
I think the Varginha, Brazil one was 1996. Yeah, it was.
If it's been around for that long, why is it just
there's
now?
Roswell, New Mexico was 1947. The Roswell, New Mexico crash was on the front cover of the Roswell Daily Record. I have it framed. It's the front cover of the Roswell Daily Record. They talk about a flying saucer that crashed in a ranch. And so these people, or these military people who were there, reported initially, who is the guy? Like, pull up the Roswell story. This is a crazy story.
Yo.
So that was on the front page of the Roswell Daily Record. RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. No details of flying disc are revealed. And then they talk about the people who are involved. It's really difficult to read the print in this
yeah, but someone
image of it.
Someone has to approve of this getting printed and things like that. So I feel like if this
information... Then the next day, they said, oh, it was just a weather balloon. Sorry, made a mistake. And so they had this press conference where they posed with these pieces of aluminum foil and like very clear weather balloon. The problem is all the eyewitnesses have a very different account. They talk about this kind of metal that you could crumple up in your hand. It was light as a paper, and then you would open it, it would go right back to its original form. They talk about these pieces of metal that were impossibly strong but impossibly light, and they had some kind of writing on them that looked like Egyptian hieroglyphs or some kind of ancient some kind of symbols on it that they didn't know what the fuck they were. They looked very alien. And they talk about biological entities that were in the crash that they transported to this funeral home, and there's this documentation of them making these small coffins. And there's a lot of weird shit where people that were there talked about seeing the bodies. There's multiple versions of the same story. Now, it could be just nonsense. It could be like a folklore thing that people just started talking about and everybody ran with it. And then it becomes like a tourist trap. Like people go to Roswell to, the fucking...
Oh, that'd be crazy.
They do.
Like an economic booster or something.
It is an economic booster. UFO freaks go to Roswell, New Mexico every year.
Do you ever think you're going to be that old person in those old videos that you think, like, when you used to watch about aliens, they'd be like, man, I saw the saucer in my backyard. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
Like, in the future, you're just the guy on the video. Not you, either. I'm just saying.
Imagine if that is you. Like, imagine if you're on tour and you guys are out in the middle of nowhere and you're at a fucking truck stop. And you pull over to take a leak and you step outside and there's a fucking UFO. Just...
Oh, I've seen it.
You have?
Taking shrooms, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you walked outside, you saw a UFO.
They're probably real. You just probably can't see them normally.
Exactly. No,
the shrooms reveal them.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
Crazy.
It might be.
But they're getting more and more real now. It's freaking me the fuck out.
It might be more complicated than we're thinking.
Interstellar stuff.
Not just interstellar, but interdimensional. And what does that really mean? What does that mean? And maybe there's certain times where we have access. We don't know how to do it. Like, we can't just go there, but maybe there's an opening and maybe they have access to us. Maybe they can create these openings and just appear. Maybe they're from something that is so different than what we're experiencing here on Earth that we can't even understand what the fuck they're talking. There might be a million years more advanced than us in a completely different dimension, and they figure out a way to visit. And they can figure out a way to just show up and hover and move around things. Look, if we can send a probe to Mars and Elon can shoot a Tesla into space, who the fuck knows what some insanely advanced civilization that has no like warlike primate behavior like we do, like maybe they've completely evolved past that. Maybe they have no jealousy and rage and envy.
No way.
Maybe they've engineered negative emotions out, and maybe they read minds. And maybe these things are just insanely advanced.
Yeah, but
and it's their job to help usher in other civilizations into the next stage of existence, which would be an existence without war and violence. An existence where human beings sort of achieve almost a hive mind.
That makes the whole God conversation crazy.
Well, God might be the universe. Instead of thinking that the universe created God, the universe might be God. It might be conscious. The whole thing might be conscious. Why not?
When I look around, though, here's my thing. sometimes when I'm like running or like hiking or I'm on the lake or I'm playing a show and everyone's singing back to me or I feel a certain way towards someone or whatever, those moments are like too grand and like beautiful to like not believe in God for me. You know what I mean? You ever feel like that? You ever been on a mountaintop and you're like, oh man, this is crazy?
I believe in something. I think the problem that people have is the word. And when you say God, people automatically think of this very rigid, organized religion perspective that's based on ancient scripture.
Yeah, it's ruined it for a lot of people.
Yeah, whether it's the God of, whatever religion you choose to believe in God. There's a bunch of different religions. A lot of them believe in God, right? But what if you don't want to think that there's something going on, something like insanely complex that's constantly moving, at least in our lives, in our existence, constantly moving in this ever-evolving direction. Why? Is it possible that this is how the universe creates more universes and the universe creates new things and these things become more and more advanced and everything continues to always advance? Just like we were talking about it doing with music and movies. Maybe it's how it does it with planets. Maybe it's how it does it with everything. Like things constantly get better. And the beings get better at manipulating reality. They get better at creating black holes and being able to pass through wormholes and being able to manipulate space-time.
How did you get to that perspective if you're from like Boston and things like that? Like, did you grow up in the Catholic Church?
Well, I was Catholic Church when I was a kid. Did Catholic school for first grade. But then, we got out of it. It was a horrible experience. Not good. And then I kind of fell out of religion as a young kid because my Catholic school experience was so bad. It's like a really mean nun who taught first grade. But it was also a good lesson that like there's people like that in the world because I never met anybody like that before. Like
religiously mean, like about God and things like that? Or just like
everybody in my life was nice to me. I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So everybody's nice to me. My grandparents are nice. My uncles are nice. Everyone's nice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're in this school where this nun is a cunt. And I was like, oh, shit, I didn't know there's people like this out there. Like, this is crazy. I didn't know there's going to be people that just mean to you for no reason. Not yell at you if you did something wrong. I experienced that. Every kid does. But mean to you. Like
corporal punishment,
like
stuff like that?
scaring you, telling you're going to, oh, yeah, she hit people.
Rotten
for
hell
sure,
and stuff
they'd
like
hit
that?
you with rulers. But tell you I'm going to make you sit on a nail in the closet. You're not going to be able to go home. You're never going to see your parents again. Like crazy shit.
See, growing up, I had like religion and things was so nice to me because I grew up like in a Baptist church and everyone was like loving and shit. And like,
yeah, there's something about that Catholic guilt. It's
weird. I've been around. And I'm not saying Catholicism is weird, but there's a strictness to it that makes you feel unwelcomed.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these priests. They like to drink,
which is insane.
They like to get fucked up. This priest gave my grandmother her, her last rites, and he kept saying her name wrong, and people had to correct him. Like her name was Josephine. He was saying Geraldine left behind a great family. He's like, it's Josephine. Her name is Josephine. He was just going through the motions, and I remember seeing him before they started the thing and looking in his face. And thinking, like, this guy is drunk a lot. Like, he had those gin blossoms all over his nose and his face.
Like when he was just talking to people and everything?
When he was getting ready and setting up, I was looking at his face like, wow, this guy looks super unhealthy.
Communion wine, baby.
Yeah, well, not just communion wine. I'm sure they're getting drunk.
I mean,
imagine.
That's not allowed, right?
I don't know. Is it allowed? But imagine your occupation does not ever allow you to be in love.
That it makes me. Did you see that Mark Wahlberg movie?
Which one?
Where he like he gets paralyzed. He gets paralyzed and he just wants to be a priest.
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh my
What's
goodness!
It called?
You got to watch it. I forgot.
Father Stew.
Father Stew. You have to watch it. It's so good. All he wants to do is be a priest, and there's a girl in it, and there's some big actresses and actors in it, and he like falls in love with her. I don't even remember what happens, but he gets paralyzed and things, and. I'm not going to ruin that movie either, but it's crazy.
Is it a new movie?
I think so.
Came out within the last year, I think.
There's so many movies out. It's impossible to keep up.
I got this crazy story. I was in Chicago. It involves like the church that I grew up in and things like that. When I was a kid, like 13 and 14 years old, we used to go on all these mission trips, like as a church. And we used to go to Chicago to this place called Maywood, and we would help all these kids out and like run a VBS. And there was nothing pretentious or weird about it. We would just go and like play kickball with kids and like talk about God and Jesus and things. And it was this park in Chicago that we would always go to, like Maywood Park. And it's kind of the rougher side of Chicago, but like being a kid, I was naive to that, so I didn't know. So it's beautiful to think about that I had no idea that it was like the rougher part of town. It was just fun for us. And we went back to Chicago 2 weeks ago to play the Windy City Smokeout. And I was there for 3 days, so I didn't really have anything to do. And one of the days I was off, I wanted to go to that park that I went to when I was 13. So it's been like 17 years or 15 years since I'd been there. And I haven't talked to the pastors and things that I had. Like, we had pastors growing up. I don't know about Catholicism, but they're just called pastors, like the guys who are over you. And on the way there, I had no idea where I was going. I didn't even remember where this park was in Maywood, Chicago. I didn't even know where Maywood was. So I just typed in Maywood into the Uber app. And it was so beautiful, man. Like, the Uber started driving me out there, and I was riding out there, and I was like, where is this park? I have no idea. And there was this story's all over the place, sorry. But when we used to go on that mission trip, Chicago had been flooded really terribly, and there was this lady named Miss Barnes who I had like helped clean out her house when it had flooded really bad. And she'd written me letters while I was in the Navy, like letters throughout the years, and I would write her back and things like that, and I would send them back and forth. One day I sent her a letter, and it was sent back to the sender because she had passed away. And I had known when I saw the damn like back to sender thing. So I'm on my way to this old church that we used to do these missions out of, and I'm calling my old youth pastors, and I'm like, hey, where's this park at? Where's this church at? And finally I get in touch with this guy named John who lives in Maywood, and he sent me all the addresses to like the park and the house and everything. And I go out there, and it's been 15 years, and I'm sitting in this park, and it's a Friday at like 6 p.m. And when we used to go out there, there used to just be all these kids and things like that playing kickball and like in the basketball courts and at the park, and like there was an American flag hanging up and stuff. And I went out there, and there was nobody, and it was completely desolate. It was 5 p.m. on a Friday in the summertime, and I was just sitting on the bleachers, and I was looking around. I was like, man, this has got to mean something. It's got to mean something terrible or crazy. Like, are people just inside now? Do people just hang out inside? And then I went to the house that she had lived in, Miss Barnes, the one that I'd cleaned out from the flood, and no one was there. And this John guy who I'd got in contact with had bought her house, had purchased her house, like the mission guy. And that's like, those are the reasons why I believe in God, because that was crazy. Like, I was driving out there, and I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing. And it turns out the guy I talked to was the guy who had purchased Miss Barnes' house, who I'd written letters to all those years. And I'd been to that park and everything. Man, you ever like go back to somewhere you spent time as a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it weird? Does it not freak you? It freaked me out a lot. I was listening to music, and I was walking around, and I remembered like stepping in the same places.
What was weird is, for me, when I
Sorry,
went back
that was
to
so random,
the town,
man. It was just reminding me of going to church and things like that.
Not at all. When I was a kid and I went back to my town where I grew up, what was weird was like I had these memories that were just basically like placeholder memories. They were like framework, where I knew the specifics of stuff, but I didn't really have a memory of it until I went there. And then all of a sudden, like, everything filled in.
That's what freaked me out. I was at the house and things like that, and I was walking around. I was like, oh my God, I remember lifting this here and like kicking this ball here. And, like,
it fills in.
That's like the nostalgia of all that shit is nuts, man. I'm not even that old. You know what I mean? I'm not like...
but things from your childhood, like, that's a long-ass time ago. When, you think of how much different you are from when you were a kid.
That dimensionally freaks me out.
Yeah, it should.
I was talking about it last night, man. I was in this fucking kiddie pool in this yard, and I was like talking to someone about it. I was like, the reality of then is the same as the reality of now, but it's also different and weird. That's got to be some weird dimensional thing, man, where it's like that existed too. Like, each day is the same.
Yeah.
And you think about it, and like, is your nostalgia like a fucking... What are your memories, man? Like, what is this? Like, how does that mean less than the present?
Well, they're definitely shaky. We all know our memories are shaky unless we're like, even if things like your songs, like stuff you wrote, like you have to concentrate on them, right? You wrote them, and sometimes you can forget the words.
Yeah, of course.
Like, memory's weird, and memory of like specific things from the past is always slippery until you're there again. You're like, oh,
it really freaked me
this.
out. It really freaked me out to be sitting there, because I remember like my dad with hair and shit. You know what I'm saying? And it was like,
yeah.
I called my dad when I was there, and I was like, man, this is nuts. Like,
do you remember your friends when they were in high school, and now you see them now, and they're all grown up, and you're like, what the fuck?
And they're all like engaged and having kids and shit. And you're like, wait, this came out of you? What's going on? I remember you throwing a tequila bottle at Coach Craig's. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and now all of a sudden they have kids of their own. You're like, whoa, this is wild.
And some of them you're like, oh yeah,
this is
I
wild.
guess, man.
This is wild.
And damn,
it's fascinating.
It's
becoming an adult human being is fascinating, and then as you're becoming an adult human being, more and more other people are becoming adult human beings. They have a different way of living their life than you do, and that's why like every generation looks at the new generation. Oh, these fucking kids today, but
everyone says it, and I've been feeling it so vividly. What scares me the most about growing up is having songs. It's got to freak you out too about having podcasts. Do you ever feel like you're gonna look like having all these songs from the time I was 22 to now? Sometimes I'm like,
I've made peace with it. It's just what I do. I have conversations with people.
Like my kids are gonna hear it one day and be like,
my kids listen to my podcast before. Specific ones, especially people that they like on it, artists that they like. They'll listen to this one.
I'm just, like your most vulnerable moments. You know, your kids.
Sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful though, man. That's cool.
It's
we're fucking talking about aliens, man. That's crazy.
Well,
sorry to your kids.
That's a fascinating thing to talk about.
Yeah,
my kids talk about it too.
It is.
Everybody does. It's one of those things where it's like, if it's true and it's real, the whole map that we have of reality is very different now. If these things really are visiting, and they really are these super sophisticated creatures that have been here from the beginning. They have been around as long as the Earth's been around. They've been visiting and checking in on us.
It'll
That's
change.
real.
It'll change the trajectory of the entire universe. Like it'll like that's why I brought God up earlier. That's why I went into that fucking Chicago story. But like, it'll change how people have lived their lives for the last 600 years, which is scary, man. That's got to do something terrible.
Is it though? Is it scary or is it good?
Is it just evolution?
Or is it just is? Is it just is? It just is life. This is life. This is what it is. Like you can just decide you wish we were living in 1967 when you had a fucking call on a phone that was.
Do you ever meditate?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah. All the time.
Is it out of just like purely?
I do it when I want to clear my thoughts. I do it in the sauna because it's a good way to concentrate while I'm cooking myself. Yeah.
I've tried to before. Sorry, the way you said that like everything just is.
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing? Isn't that what meditating is? It's like everything is coming and going.
For some people. For some people, it's just a chance at stillness or attempt at stillness. You know, but it is what it is. If the aliens are real, we're not going to be able to change it because we don't like it.
Yeah, true.
You just have to deal with it. Like, you just have to deal with it. And let's look.
World of War stuff.
We live in fascinating times.
I wonder if people.
Isn't that like a curse? May you live in fascinating times. Who said that? Isn't that? I think that was like an ancient curse.
People have had to have talked about this forever, though.
Oh,
Since
yeah.
for like forever, you know? Like, that's why I get freaked out by conversations like this. I'm like, man, are we just...
No, because this is a different time. I mean, this is a time where you're having congressional disclosure.
Yeah.
This is the time where people who are on the inside are being allowed to talk about these things. May you live in interesting times. A Chinese curse would say, may he live in interesting times. That's a Chinese curse. Interesting.
That's insane.
There you go. And we definitely live in interesting times.
We're just writing songs, man. Aliens exist, and I'm just writing songs.
And just living life.
That's
Listen,
insane.
man, I think we did like 3 hours. And a
Oh,
little
no
more.
shit.
Yeah, time flew by.
Wow, yeah, kick me out.
Great
man.
time, my friend.
That's
Thank
crazy.
You. It was awesome.
Wow, this is a pleasure.
And I really appreciate you coming in. It's been fun hanging out with you. I loved your show, and
Been beautiful.
I'm a fan, and I appreciate everything you do, man. It was a lot of
Thank you,
it was a
Joe.
good time.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Let's go.
All right.
Hell yeah,
All right.
man.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good evening.